It looks like the main character was poisoned. She didn't want to believe that all this time she had been trying so hard in order to die like that. In this world, a disaster occurs once every 200 years. At the same time, a saint is born who is able to seal it. They say they are born in the Filant family from generation to generation. Saints always marry royalty. The guy greeted the girl and introduced himself as the first prince of the kingdom of Hyliaitos Andrew Hyliaitos. The girl's name was Philomela Filant, saint of this generation. 11 years later, I analyzed the guy's wound. And today the comma failed last time too. The man said that even if trainees were treated here for free, it was better to go elsewhere. He is confident that discontent will only grow. Philomela apologized. Another girl treated them, and everyone was delighted because they immediately healed early, as if by magic. She could help the knights during training. Unlike the main character, she is not useless. The prince's sister Patricia was excellent. 16 years ago, a palace fortune teller predicted the birth of a saint. Then the main character was born the only legitimate daughter in the Filant family. Then she was immediately engaged to Mr. Andrew. A few years later, the daughter who ran away and went missing died along with her husband. That's how they learned that another girl was born around the same time as her. It was Patricia. She was perceived as a girl from the Filant family, so she was trained together with Philomela. She is the saint here, so she doesn't quite understand why only she is called that in the castle false saint. The maids talked among themselves and believed that Mrs. Patricia was completely different, and it was she who should become a saint. They did not understand at all why they had to serve this impostor. Philomela was in despair because, unlike her, everyone loves Patricia and considers her a saint. Everyone thinks she should be the one. Anyway, she wants to become a saint so she can marry Mr. Andrew. Patricia noticed Mr. Andrew and immediately ran into his arms. The main character couldn't believe it at all, and I didn't understand at all why they were together. When the girl was writing something in her room, Mr. Andrew approached her. He noted that he knew that she was trying her best, but she also needed to rest, so he invited her to drink tea together. After this, Philomela began to think that she had made a mistake. Andrew brought tea from her favorite Eastern countries. Philomela was very grateful to the master. The prince noticed that he decided to please her. For her efforts, Philomela was shy, after which the gentleman said that she had nothing to worry about this. The lady was very grateful to him for such care. Philomela was so happy that he prepared tea, especially for her. And then she felt bad. The prince did not understand at all what was happening and ran up to the girl. The main character was in great pain, and she understood that it was all over. Mr. Andrew was so worried about her. But suddenly, she noticed something strange. She didn't want to believe that it was possible that it was Mr. Andrew who poisoned her. The girl approached her friend and asked why she was sitting so gloomy, and noticed that she was reading this book again. She couldn't stand this main antagonist, the false saint. A friend asked if she was talking about the main character, but the girl was talking about Patricia and the false saint is Philomela. The girl did not quite understand what had happened, because he and his friend wanted to discuss the affair. The main character didn't even know where she was. Looking around, she noticed a luxurious bed, after which she remembered that she had been poisoned. She reached for the mirror, and when she saw her reflection, she was simply horrified. She didn't understand at all who she saw in the reflection. Beautiful blonde hair and eyes as green as emeralds. Only the image of Philomela is spinning in my head. And this face, that's right, it's Philomela, the villain of this novel. The girl was in complete shock that she was reborn in another world. Philomela Filant. She died from poisoning. However, the girl does not remember her past life. She had a complete family, but her parents died early. Only the older sister remained. After graduating from university, she looked for a job, but ended up with bad company. It had terrible demands and back-breaking work, sexual harassment, and stalking. She was constantly forced to work overtime. Once she even ended up in the hospital because she lost consciousness due to overwork. Being unemployed, she was hooked by the novel Healing, but now she's thinking that it's the same as being in that company again, only now in the guise of a saint. However, here they will not only teach her nothing but will also ruin her psyche, a sad truth that she didn't understand while she was reading. Holy and Blessed Love is a romance novel in which Patricia is the main character. Philomela is a false saint and a villain, and Andrew and Patricia fight with her for the place of saint. Despite Philomela's efforts, Patricia was able to become a full-fledged saint and marry Prince Andrew. She also defeated the disaster, which gave peace to all residents. After that, they lived happily ever after. In general, if you think about it this way, Philomela does not appear in the middle of the novel. But the main character can't quite remember what happened there, so she thinks hard, after which she remembered that when Patricia remained a saint, Philomela was found guilty. But this is simply impossible, besides Andrew gave her poison. He hated Philomela so much. The maid came into the room and noticed that the lady had woken up. The main character was shocked that she didn't even knock. The girl considered this too unceremonious. Philomela decided to ask if Mr. Andrew was okay. The maid told her that Prince Andrew and Patricia were having fun together. She called Philomela poor because no one even came to visit her. Philomela was sure that it was Andrew who tried to poison her. It was good that she was feeling better. The girl remembered Andrew saying that he was very glad that she woke up and said that his prayers were answered. Only now did she think about what nonsense he was saying. She may have loved him before, but now everything is in the past. She didn't quite understand why she should be killed at all, but she firmly decided that now Philomela would change. If she still leaves, she will definitely die, so she needs to think about what to do. Suddenly, she collided with a man. He immediately apologized and asked if she had hurt herself. Philomela immediately jumped away from him and said that she was fine, and she apologized very much. The man apologized again and turned around and left. Philomela didn't even know who he was. Philomela noticed a noise outside the door. It was voices, so she leaned against the door because she wondered what they were talking about. This is no longer any good. If he accepts the terms of the engagement, he will remain in the black. Another man asked him if he really thought this selfish imposter would agree to such a thing. The main character believed that the conversation was about her, after which Prince Andrew appeared before her and asked what she was doing here and wondered if she was feeling better. The lady said that she just decided to take a little walk, and on the way she ran into a guy unknown to her. The principal noted that quite a lot of people had arrived from other countries who would like to take advantage of the holy power. The guy said that he was glad that she felt better and noticed that he was very worried about her. Philomela, I apologize for the inconvenience caused. Prince added that it was simply terrible. He is very sorry that he could not help her then. The thought that she might not wake up pained him. The girl noticed that he had good acting ability. If she had not seen his smile, then she would definitely have been caught now. Only now did she find out what a rotten person he was. The brother said that he would definitely find the culprit in her poisoning. However, due to lack of evidence, the case is not moving forward. Philomela wanted to tell him to look in the mirror and find it right away. Andrew travels to a country they suspect of supplying poison, and he apologizes for not being able to stay close. She could already hear from the maid that she had fainted from overwork. The fact is that they do not want to make this incident public. He also apologizes very much for this. Philomela noted that this was a good opportunity to pin the crime on an innocent person to complete the case. Since he won't be here for a while, this is her chance. Philomela will definitely escape from here. Philomela came to her father's office and asked if he had called her. The relationship between the father and Philomela was never good. He only cared about Patricia because everything worked out for her. Due to the failure of his own daughter, love for her disappeared. The girl was interested in what he needed from her. She couldn't show him her excitement. Her father said that she was not good enough and that she always caused problems. Philomela doesn't quite understand what he means. The father repeated that he had asked her not to mislead Patricia. The main character was shocked that he was going to lecture her. He understands that he doesn't love her, but not enough to forget her completely. The father said that an engagement proposal had been received. Philomela, you asked if he was talking about the wedding. Her father said that she should be grateful that this damned country was offering her marriage. They must accept it in exchange for holy power. Philomela decided that she would be happy to find a good man. Damn country kingdom of Elair, it is located next to the kingdom of Hyliaitos. When disaster came, it was the first to fall, but Patricia dealt with him using her power. It's safe to say that the damned country was shown as if it were the source of the disaster. Philomela wondered if this story was the same. She had no idea what people in this country were thinking about. First, Philomela interferes with Andrew and Patricia's wedding. Secondly, her notoriety does not allow her to marry someone from friendly countries. And the third thing is that they decided to send her to a damned country. This is weird. Everything is not working out the way it should be. In the book, when Philomela is sent to another country, she continues to insist on being engaged to Andrew, although he refuses. But the present Philomela easily agreed to this. Her father noticed that she as always thinks only of herself. But then he changed his mind and asked again what she said. The girl repeated that she would marry a man from a cursed country. because after the poisoning her eyes opened, she apologized for being so stupid earlier. Philomela realized that the real saint was Patricia, so her engagement with Andrew should not take place. And if they accept Philomela like this, then she will be glad to marry a man from a cursed country. The main character made up her mind that nothing would happen if she changed the plot a little. Whoever is there, it's better to go there than to stay here. Philomela would like to leave the country before Prince Andrew returns. It will be painful for her to meet him again. The father agreed to such conditions, but she must remember that she will no longer be able to change her decision. Philomela herself understood this. The girl was a little tired and hoped that she had done the right thing. Patricia approached her sister and was very happy to see her. As expected from the main character, she is very sweet. At first, she was scared when she saw her. She heard a conversation between her sister and her father and asked if she was going to marry someone from the damned country. Philomela noted that it's a little sad to talk about this, but it's true. Suddenly, Patricia said that she was so pathetic. Even though this is a damned country, she is still ashamed that they are the same age as her. But Philomela doesn't have to worry about this, because she can't help it if no one loves her. The main character was shocked by Patricia's character, but she decided that the hour of reckoning would come. Due to the mixed memories of her past life, she completely forgot what kind of girl Patricia was. But this was her adored novel. Now she has said goodbye to her beloved leading lady. Philomela noted that she would try not to cause inconvenience to the inhabitants of the damned country. Patricia was surprised, and Philomela only thanked her for her concern. The girl began to leave, realizing that her sister was somehow boring today. In a past life, the main character constantly worked for the benefit of the company, and I didn't think about anything bad until I got to the hospital. She can't make the same mistake again. She just needs to try and not avoid it outright. The carriage from the cursed country had arrived, so everyone had to hurry. The maid put her suitcase and said that she would leave the rest to her, because she will no longer serve this imposter. That's all. Philomela turned to Dahlia. She thanked her because she had always taken care of her, so she asked to give her a good job in gratitude. She congratulated her on going to the front lines of the battlefield. Dahlia asked in horror what she was talking about. Philomela noticed that if she was not mistaken, she was also a candidate for Patricia's maid. She didn't like her job, but nevertheless she did a good job, and the lady is sure that in the new place she will show herself no worse. A servant who does not have magical abilities on the battlefield is most often engaged in cleaning up the place after training with monsters. This is literally a hellish job that all the servants hate. Of course, she has no right to decide when to send a person because of her reputation, but Dahlia worked very hard. So she asks her father for a dacha, and a good job. Patricia would never choose her maid. The result met all expectations. Philomela didn't know where she would end up, but the work there would clearly be much more difficult than here. So the lady asks her to try hard there. Philomela said goodbye to her, and the maid tried to tell her something, but did not have time. Philomela was very pleased because there was one less problem. In the kingdom of Elair, come to think of it, they say the false saint will come here. Jillian decided, so he did not understand at all how one could treat a woman with such a bad reputation. The man noticed that if she was so bad, then he would personally do something to her. The second man decided to remain silent because he wanted to live longer. The man said that he was not going to use his brother and would not allow her to do whatever she wanted. They came for Mrs. Philomela Fallant. She couldn't believe that so many knights had come for her. So you wondered what was in store for her. The knight informed the lady that he had arrived to take her to the kingdom of Elair. The main character began to worry about something. Now it is important for her to show her good side. She thanked the knights for that they shared this whole journey. She was very much him. The cursed country is the kingdom of Elair. Because of the name, she thought that the atmosphere here would be much more gloomy. But everyone here is alive. Suddenly she began to wonder what kind of curse lay on this country. It would be nice if Patricia took it off. The butler was very grateful to the lady for arriving in the kingdom. Philomela noticed that the man she saw in the castle did not come. She is very interested in who it was. The girl thought he was a knight. Although he was dressed differently, perhaps he is from high society. Well, Philomela will soon find out about this because they will still be in the same castle. Mrs. Philomelia was extremely interested in where they were going now. The butler said that this palace was prepared especially for her. The atmosphere here is so-so. It can be seen that it has been looked after, but the building is still very old. It's so lonely here, Philomela asked when she would meet the royal family. The man told her that the king was very busy, so she should wait a little. Philomela thought that they would definitely greet her. She had the feeling that she was not expected here at all, and they treat her politely. It's better than it was at home. Well, she didn't expect anything special from the start, so she'll just move on. Philomela understood him and thanked him well. A new life is coming her way. Now she will spend time for her own pleasure. The servants welcomed Prince Gillian back. The guy ordered to send a knight who was met by the daughter of Marquis Philant of Hyleitos. Gillian believed that danger was coming. He would never have thought that in return he would ask the saint to take the Marquis's daughter. A knight knocked on the room and asked if the master had called him Gillian, asked how the Marquis's daughter was, and if there were any problems. The knight reported that there were several situations Gillian was surprised, and then asked how they got to the country in general. The man noticed that it was very different from the stories and rumors. She was very polite to them. The press wondered what this meant. They thought that she would be rude to them, since the impersonal knights and servants could not accompany her. But the miss smiled and did not complain at all. There was not a single complaint on her part. Although the hotel was not very comfortable, it seemed that everything suited her. She even really liked the food there. He heard a lot of rumors about her, but she turned out to be much kinder and friendlier. The prince was grateful to the knight for the work done and noticed that he could sit down. Gillian thought that the lady would be furious, so he didn't understand at all why she was so happy. In their country, everyone knows the notoriety of Lady Philant from the kingdom of Hyleitos. Rumor has it that she is lazy and arrogant. He also likes to brag about his position. All the residents call her a false saint to her face because of the obvious difference in strength with another candidate for sainthood. Gillian tried not to push the conditions too far, but still agreed to accept her as the bride. He wanted to believe the rumors, but there is no smoke without fire. He needs to see this for himself. If a person plans to learn something, then it is better for him to do it himself. This palace was prepared for Philomela Philant. Although it is small, you will not find a better place to relax. But a lover of wealth and luxury would not fit in here. It's somehow strange. Does she always behave the same way? The cat noticed the maid who was in charge of the palace. He was shocked that she was acting arrogant. Perhaps the knight was mistaken. If her character lives up to the rumors, he should be more careful with her. The cat was shocked when he saw how sweetly the lady communicated with the animals. She calls them cuties and says they are all so friendly, there is no turning back. The animals of this forest were always wild, and they did not attack people, but they did not get close to them either. The maid told the lady that she might get her clothes dirty, but the girl didn't see this as a problem because you can wash it. She told the maid to worry about me because she would take care of it herself. The cat was shocked when he heard that she would do the laundry herself. The maid asked to be allowed to take care of her. Philomela asked if she had already done enough. Basically, I didn't understand at all what was happening because she didn't look anything like herself from the rumors. Philomela said that she was already engaged to him, so she thought it was terrible that he had not even met her. She was very grateful to the animal for comforting her at such a moment. The cat began to feel that his strength was leaving him, but he could not fall right here. Asked him where he got hurt. Things were bad. The lady took him in her arms and told him that everything was all right, so he should not be afraid of her. The prince's pain immediately began to go away. The lady noticed that it didn't look like he was injured, but his body was so cold. He hadn't felt so calm for a long time. He felt very warm and so good. But when he opened his eyes, he was shocked where he ended up. The prince was very shy when he noticed that the lady was in the bathroom with him and was barely dressed. Philomela told him that everything was fine and they were almost finished. When she washed him, he felt a very pleasant feeling. It did not allow him to resist, so he believed that it was some kind of magic. It didn't even hurt him. Philomela said that everything was fine and now he would get better. The lady noticed that he had such beautiful fur and noticed that his body was so cold that she did not know what to do. Taking a bath turned out to be the right decision. The lady felt warm, but when she opened her eyes, she saw the prince in front of her. The girl was in complete shock when she saw him hugging her in her sleep. She didn't understand at all what this meant. When she opened her eyes, she saw a handsome man next to her. It seems she saw him somewhere. When the man woke up, he was also in complete shock. He didn't have anything to say. Philomela did not understand what all this meant. For some reason, a knight lies next to her. She fell asleep with the cat. When she remembered the cat, she immediately jumped out of bed and tried to find him. He was nowhere to be found, so she didn't understand where he could have gone. When she turned towards the bed, she saw a flushed knight apologizing to her. Philomela didn't quite understand what he was talking about. Suddenly, the man turned in the other direction. The lady nevertheless decided to ask what the knight was doing here. The guy asked again. Philomela was at a loss. Because what is he if not a knight? Jillian realized that he was late. The guy introduced himself as the second prince named Jillian Elclear. Philomela was very surprised because she could not believe that this was her fiancé. Now the lady realized that he was that cat. She heard that the people of the cursed country are good at magic. Each member of the royal family has a unique ability, and if we talk about His Highness Jillian, he owns the magic of transformation. Philomela thought it was so amazing, but why is he a cat? And she also wonders if he came to the castle, not counting yesterday. Suddenly the mistress remembered what was with him in the bathroom. The prince apologized very much. He did not want to put her in such an awkward position. He was sure that she knew that this country was called cursed. Family members are really good at magic. A curse can lead to serious consequences. Philomela noticed that his head was spinning and his body was becoming cold. When the girl saw the black spot on his hand, she thought that it was possible that it was somehow connected with the curse. The main character decided that it was better for her not to ask questions yet since he was hiding it. He noticed that when he touched it, his pain subsided. For the first time in a long time, he slept so peacefully. The prince was leaving, but said that he would return soon. He turned into a cat again, and now the lady was sure that he really was that cat. The cat apologized for not greeting her right away. He will definitely come to the palace again, but in human form. Philomela thought that she might hate him after such an act, but he turned out to be not bad at all. The maids burst into the room and told the mistress that they would help her with her dress today, and wanted to put her makeup on too. The prince himself noticed that she was very different from those rumors. He didn't know what to do at all. He should probably at least have a normal conversation with her first. Simka was greeted by a gentleman with red hair. He noticed that he was not often seen in the morning. The principal said that if he returned so early, it means there is a lot of work. The guy thought about it and realized that in the direction from which he came, the lady's palace was located. Today the prince is going to officially greet Mrs. Philomela Philant. The butler was surprised that His Highness wanted to pay a visit. The gentleman noticed that he still doesn't know her well, so he doesn't want her to leave the castle alone yet. Jillian needs to get to know her better. He decided to ask the maid first. He asked the maid here where Lady Philomela was. Janka was in complete shock when she saw the second crown prince. She asked the gentleman to wait a little and ran away somewhere. Jillian didn't quite understand why she was so surprised and believed that something had happened. Behind the wall, he heard talk that Prince Jillian had come, and when he looked behind the wall, you saw a lady there with kebabs. At first, she was confused, but then she invited the prince to join them. Philomela wished bon appetit to the second principal, after which I asked if he had come on some business. The maids told him that Lady Philomela's meat was very tasty, and to be honest, he's probably never tried anything like this. In principle, I would never have thought that everything would turn out this way. Yesterday, I actually played with animals. She really is full of surprises. Philomela promised him that I was not there. Princip noticed that he did not warn about his visit, so he does not think that she would have had time to prepare. And the poison does not affect the prince due to a rare feature. When he tried it, he was simply delighted and asked what kind of meat it was. Philomela said that this was the meat of a small demonic animal that the knight had caught. The maid gave it to her. At first, the prince was completely shocked, but then he thought that their meat was still edible, but he had never tasted anything tastier than this. He really wanted to ask her if the mistress still had the opportunity to cook it again. Jillian apologized profusely for having to return to the castle, and added that the food was very tasty. Now he knew that not only did all animals like her, but she also cooked the meat of demonic beasts deliciously. Of course, these are little things, but not those that people usually think about. The gentleman seriously thought about what special power Mrs. Philomela had. On the way, he met his brother and asked him if something had happened. He asked with a grin whether he had decided to visit Mrs. Philomela. His brother was the first prince named Clyde Elclear. He wondered what his brother would say about her. Jillian could not yet say which rumors were true, but the servants are delighted with her. Clyde asked him what he himself thought about her. The second principal noted that there are several other points that stress him out. After hearing what he heard, Clyde began to think about going to see her himself. Jillian was in a daze and his brother grinned and asked what happened. The prince said that it was okay, it was just too early to say anything, and he didn't want anything to happen to his brother. Jillian promised to let his brother know if he had any problems. At the same time, he apologized for uploading it. This is all so unexpected. Jillian doesn't think he'll do anything wrong. His Highness Jillian promised to visit Philomela often. It looks like he should come today, and it's already time he came anyway. The girl jumped up and called him, but was surprised when she saw another man in front of her. He said with a smile that it seemed that it was not him. Philomela didn't even know who he was. In principle, he got married and noticed that he did not want to scare her. He just wanted to check the condition of the palace for a long time. Philomela said that there was nothing wrong with this and believed that he was probably a knight. The man apologized again for not immediately introducing himself. His name is Clyde. He is the head of the knights of this country. The lady was simply delighted. She decided that he was a great knight. She was sure that he had plenty of strength. Jillian was worried that he was too late, and when he opened the doors, he noticed his older brother there. The second prince asked Clyde what he was doing here. Philomela was simply horrified when she learned that it was his older brother. The lady immediately began to apologize. She was very sorry that she did not recognize him. Clyde said that it was okay because he too had done some mischief. Jillian noticed that his brother seemed to have deliberately decided to get ahead of him. Now Clyde knew that his little brother liked cuties. He didn't understand at all why his brother was acting so nice. Clyde noticed that he was simply wondering how the famous Mrs. Fallant was doing. But she seems to be doing well. His heart was relieved. Philomela asked if he was feeling well. The prince said that everything was fine and asked if she had heard rumors about their curse. They are always under its influence, and the marks from it constantly hurt. Nothing can lighten their burden. Jillian shouted at his brother, but he believed that she should know about it, although he doesn't think that she went before, so everything is in order. The second principal noticed that Mrs. Philomela cooks very tasty. He hasn't tried anything better. Philomela said he was exaggerating, and now she has no meat. Clyde asked what was needed. Philomela said that she was previously treated to it by knights who hunted demons. Now the first prince understood what she was talking about, and he promised that he would bring it to her. After some time, he delivered a huge number of monsters and asked if this would be enough. The lady was very grateful to him. Philomela decided that since he had tried so hard to bring all this, she could not refuse. When she looked, she noticed dirt and was not sure that it had been there before. She didn't know if there would be any dirt left if they were cooked. Jillian didn't quite understand what she was doing. Philomela said it was just dirty, and she didn't think it could be eaten like that. But she still thinks she can handle it. But for some reason, the second prince did not see anything. Philomela showed him the dirt, after which Jillian asked if she liked everything to sparkle with cleanliness. Clyde asked Philomela if she could see the miasma. The girl didn't quite understand what they were telling me. Philomela was surprised that it was miasma because it looked like ordinary dirt. Clyde said that in that case they would have seen her. If she thinks about it like that, she doesn't quite believe that they don't see anything. She decided to ask how they knew it was miasma. Jillian tried to stop his brother, but he said that everything was fine. He was showing something strange on his hand. Clyde told Philomela that he had them too. The lady did not understand at all what all this meant. Their curse creates a miasma that can only be absorbed by a magical stone. Philomela asked if Prince Jillian had it. The second principal showed its own. It was slightly different for him. It differs in color. Jillian sighed and noted that he would have to change it soon. Philomela asked in what sense the gentleman said that when a stone is filled with miasma, it needs to be changed. However, they do not see them, so they identify them by the shine of the magic stone. Black haze is a very strong miasma, but the lady cannot see how much this stone has ceased to shine. But if the meat is cleaned of miasma, it will become tasty. Clyde would like to try it. Philomela agreed and asked for a minute, after which she ran towards the palace. The second prince noticed that the stone seemed to have become lighter. He thought about how this might be possible due to her powers. But if she really is able to sense the miasma, Clyde noticed that his brother seemed to care about her very much. Jillian said it wasn't like that. He just had to be sure that she wouldn't harm their country. The first principal noted that he thinks Philomela is a good girl, so he is not completely unsure. Philomela called Prince Jillian and Clyde because everything was ready. For a second, the lady thought about what they were talking about. Clyde noticed that they didn't talk about anything like that. Jillian was a little flushed. When Clyde tried the meat, he was simply delighted and noticed that it was really very tasty. Jillian noticed that he said so. He never would have thought that monster meat could be so tasty. Philomela, of course, was interested in their taste, but she was shocked that she could actually cleanse miasma. Although she had never seen them before, the prince asked the lady where there were so many animals here. Philomela noticed that the animals in this country are very friendly and cute. Clyde looked at his brother in bewilderment, and in response, he simply threw up his hands. Philomela didn't quite understand what this reaction was. She didn't want to believe that she had done something wrong, so she was a little confused. Clyde noticed that Philomela was so interesting. Jillian asked his brother what he thought about the strange love of animals for her. The prince believed that they were drawn to her magical energy. The animal is more sensitive to magic than humans. They don't like people with dark energy, but vice versa, with light energy. In other words, Philomela has atypical light magic. Cleansing from miasma, love of animals, enlightenment in a magic stone. When Jillian was next to her, the marks of the curse did not hurt. Only a saint can do this. This is simply impossible. Jillian noted that he needed to keep an eye on her and the kingdom of Hylitas. Clyde noted that this was not a bad idea. The maid apologized very much to her mistress. Philomela said that everything was fine, so she didn't have to worry about it. You just need to wash your clothes. Mrs. Philomela turned around so unexpectedly, and the maid accidentally got her dirty, but she didn't want to do it. The maid didn't understand at all why this always happened. Philomela repeated again that everything was fine. Then she asked if she also wanted to try the meat. The maid considered her just an angel. The other maids told Nina that they heard what she was thinking. The maid apologized and said that she was already leaving. Philomela understands her feelings perfectly. Previously, she also caused problems. Suddenly, the maids approached her and asked if the lady would like to eat with them. They all really wanted this because the lady herself had prepared it. They also brought spices from the kitchen that go well with this meat. But now, no matter how sad she is, it is not their fault she may be useless, but she can still live here happily. Royal Castle of Hylitas. The knight was very grateful to Patricia, and she told him to contact him again. The girl was simply furious because she did not understand at all why she was being forced to treat even such scratches. Previously, at least, Philomela's upset face amused her. Yes, she herself took the initiative to heal even scratches. They have no one else to go to. Now she has to stress over such nonsense, and all because of the power of the saint. It is expensive, although it is honorable. Perhaps it's because of the workload, but lately she's been getting very tired after using force. Mr. Andrew is also not coming back. Suddenly she remembered something and went to your room. A gentleman came to her and asked if she called him. In fact, Patricia wants him to visit her little sister. The gentleman was very pleased, and the girl asked if he could find out how she was doing in the damned country, because she is very curious. The guy said to leave it to him and promised that he would find out everything, and then tell her personally. Patricia noticed that he was so reliable, but actually simple and useful. Patricia thought that she had a hard time in the damned country. She was looking forward to the news. Kitchen of the Royal Palace of Elair. The girl did a good job preparing the dish. She told the boss that everything was ready. He asked what it was. This can be called a vegetable side dish. The chef said that's enough talking, she can't serve such a dish to a client. The cuisine of her country is not in demand here. No matter how much she tries, he will not serve her dishes. So she can go home. If they tried it, you would definitely understand how delicious it is. Girls have a very hard time. She was hired to work in the kitchen of the royal palace. She smelled a very tasty smell and wondered where it came from. When she looked, she saw a lady there asking who wanted meat. Philomela treated all her servants today. They had a barbecue. It's like the party with the knights that everyone said good things about. The main thing is that they like it. Philomela noted that Prince Jillian would probably not be able to come today. The maid said that he was very upset, and they were sure that Prince Jillian wanted to meet Lady Philomela. The girl didn't quite understand why they were having such conversations. Philomela said that they reminded him of the comma, and she even began to miss him. Suddenly, one of the maids began to fall again. Philomela was already beginning to close her eyes and tried to be careful. But all this meat was grabbed by a girl from the kitchen. Philomela was simply delighted. When she saw her clothes, it began to believe that she was a cook. The girl confirmed that she is a student. Philomela thought so and then asked if she wanted to eat with them. The cook became a little shy, and Philomela began to tell her not to be shy and to go with them. This form resembles the Japanese one. The main character heard that there is a country in the East that is very similar to Japan. The rumors reached her even before her memories of her past life returned, so she did not pay much attention to it. But now she is attacked by terrible nostalgia, so she wants to make friends with her. The cook said that she could make this meat tastier. She considered their behavior too intrusive. Philomela was surprised at this and asked her to do it if she could. Even though the meat was tasty, it was clearly undercooked. She imagines how amazing it would be if there was a professional chef here too. She cooked this meat and wished him bon appetit. Philomela noticed that it looked very tasty. When she tried it, she was absolutely delighted. It is very tasty and the girl is simply a brilliant cook. The maid asked the mistress if it was really so tasty. Philomela confirmed this and told them to try it too. She hoped the cook didn't mind this, that's how it was, but she wondered what kind of bunch this was. She had already heard this name somewhere, after which the prince approached them and noticed that they smelled even better than usual. Philomela was delighted when she saw Jillian. The cook was shocked when she saw the second crown prince. She asked in shock whether Mrs. Philomela was the one. The main character was surprised. The body becomes heavier. He really wants to sleep, but he has absolutely no idea what this place is. It's so beautiful. Philomela noticed that there were more and more of them. Now gardening has become her daily routine. Even the maids who were initially against it now take care of the medicinal herbs with her. When the lady looked at what was behind the tree, she was very surprised because she did not at all understand who it was. There was a guy lying there. The lady really hoped that he was not dead. After checking him, Philomela was convinced that he lived. He pulled himself closer to her and lay down on her lap. Suddenly, Prince Jillian appeared behind him. He noticed that he had just heard a scream. Philomela was shocked, and the prince noticed the guy there. He was not entirely happy because first Prince Clyde and then Rex. Philomela was simply horrified and did not immediately believe that this was the third crown prince. Jillian asked to be allowed to introduce her to the third crown prince of the Elair kingdom, Rex Elair. Jillian asked him what he was doing here. Rex said he was just really sleepy. Philomela was simply in shock. "Whom you will meet here?" Jillian noticed that his words were confusing, so he should explain himself better. Rex said something about being sleepy and he was just looking for a nice place outdoors. The guy added that living with the curse is difficult because of it he constantly has nightmares. Philomela began to believe that this was why he was so tired. However, Rex noticed that she was amazing. The air around her was so clean and it was so comfortable to sleep on her feet. He didn't even have nightmares. Rex asked if he could sleep on her lap again. Jillian approached her and said that they had already decided that she would become his bride. Rex sighed because he would have to continue to endure this pain. Jillian asked if he couldn't find a more compelling reason. Clyde approached them and asked what was there and what they were doing. "Philomela, why did you ask what he was doing here?" Basically, he noted that he had some free time, so he decided to look at her. Well, he hoped that she would cook more of that meat. Jillian noticed that he only thinks about himself. Rex came to his senses and said that since he could not sleep on her legs only because of Jillian, he asked to become his wife. The second principal asked his brother what he was saying. Rex said that he really wanted to be with her. Clyde said that if Philomela was somehow disappointed with Jillian, then she could become his bride. Jillian became angry with his older brother and told them that he would not give them his fiancée Philomela. The maids watched all this, and therefore Philomela quickly moved away from Jillian. The brothers asked what it was. Clyde noticed that they were so brave. Jillian asked them to stop. Philomela didn't understand at all why everyone in the royal family had such a character. Rex asked if Mrs. Philomela's name was... The girl apologized for not introducing herself. Her name is Philomela Philant. The guy also decided to introduce himself and said that he was just Rex. He reminds Philomela of a kitten. I asked if she grew medicinal herbs here. The girl confirmed this and noted that she was also caring for them. Rex noticed that now he understood why there was such an atmosphere here. He was grabbed by Jillian and told that he had leaned too close to his fiancée. He thought his brother was so greedy. Jillian apologized for his brother and thought she must have been very surprised. But Philomela said that this was not so. By the way, the prince decided to ask what Rex meant. The third principal said that the atmosphere of this place is directly related to Philomela's abilities. This made him happy. Philomela was shocked that they felt the same. Jillian noticed that Rex senses magical power better than anyone else. Now he noticed that the air here was surprisingly clean, and medicinal herbs grow well. Thanks to this, they can make medicines. He was shocked that Philomela could also be behind this. Clyde asked Philomela if she received the education of a saint in the kingdom of Hyliaitos. Philomela confirmed this, but she cannot use the power of the saint. Now they know the truth. The main character doesn't want their relationship to deteriorate because of her pathetic past. Jillian told Philomela to raise her head higher because no one will reproach her for it. Clyde apologized. It seemed to him that his question put her in an awkward position. Rex also told her not to be upset because he really likes to see her smile. They're all so good. The people here are very different from the inhabitants of the kingdom of Hyliaitos. She no longer wants to be ashamed of her past and doesn't care what others think. Philomela asked permission to tell everything. Thus they learned the whole truth about the kingdom of Hyliaitos. Julian was shocked by these teaching methods. The way she was treated in the kingdom of Hyliaitos is despised even here. As her story progressed, the brothers' anger only grew. In the end, they ended, and Jillian was very happy about this meeting. Philomela said that she would look forward to future meetings with him. The main character was pleased with herself for escaping from there. Suddenly, Nanina's maid began to offend her. She excitedly told the lady that there was a rabbit lying in the bushes. Philomela decided to do this now. Another maid said to leave disinfectants and medicines for her. Philomela told the rabbit that everything was fine and he needed to be patient a little. There's blood on his neck. Perhaps he was bitten by a wolf. Philomela began his healing, but she still can't do it. Nevertheless, the rabbit immediately came to life and began to hug the lady. The girl said that even if she succeeded, then perhaps it wasn't so serious early. The maid came running who was supposed to bring medicine, but she was shocked when she saw that he had already recovered. Philomela noticed that early on it seemed like she wasn't that serious. The maid said that it was all thanks to the lady, but they still decided to examine this rabbit just in case. Nanina was very glad that the rabbit was okay, but she still wondered what kind of flash it was. It felt like Lady Philomela was using her magical powers. Kingdom of Hyliaitos, Patricia's room. She screamed and asked what it all meant. Judging by the report, she lives there just fine. Patricia cannot just leave it like that. This cannot be allowed. Someone knocked on her door with a very important question. They abuse her magic too much and Prince Andrew doesn't return. Patricia decided that if her sister lived so happy, then she would simply make her unhappy again. A whole month passed like this. Philomela got used to life here and the warm attitude towards herself. Medicinal herbs still grow in the garden, but there is no need for a gardener. He created a real miracle, and she feels just great here. But Philomela did not know that she was capable of such a thing. The girl herself did not understand how she began to use magic, even though these are simple techniques. Philomela had always been told that magic could not exist without imagination, and she wondered if her life here had an impact on this. In a past life, she worked until she lost her pulse, until she stopped thinking. This affected its effectiveness. She was shocked when she saw that her flowers had withered. She decided to try to do something with them. She tried to do the healing, but it didn't work out. She didn't even understand what she was expecting. Only a saint can use this power. The maid called the lady. Lately, everything has been going suspiciously smoothly, although they always had a hard time due to the effects of the curse. It's like a tumor that cannot be cured. Poverty, anxiety, uncertainty. There has always been a gloomy atmosphere in this country. Recently, the maids sleep well at night and are less tired. Some even had better skin. The knight's newly received injuries were healing quickly, and another one has been doing well in training lately. Now Jillian was definitely sure of his thoughts. The second prince apologized to his brothers for being late. Rex congratulated him on his return. Clyde asked how it went, like, "My brother said there is a lot of energy inside." Rex noticed that he was feeling good lately. Clyde agreed too. At least now he is ready to go hunt demons. From the very beginning, strange things happened to her. She was extremely pleased with animals. She got rid of the pain from the curse and also began to see miasma. And medicinal herbs clearly began to grow well for a reason. But not only the brothers, but also all the people in the castle began to feel much better. Jillian believed that perhaps Philomela was not an imposter but a real saint. Rex called him a complete retard because he realized this even in his first meeting with her. Clyde said whether she is or not, she definitely has a special power. However, her sister also uses force. Julian did some research and found out that she definitely has powerful healing magic. Well then, they can't explain Philomela's special abilities. Yes, I taught her wrong. He has absolutely no idea what is happening in this kingdom. He said that he would allow Clyde to investigate there. A knight burst into their room and said that they had problems. The huge monster suddenly went berserk and is approaching the castle of Mrs. Philomela. Jillian immediately ran there. The brothers tried to call him, but to no avail. Clyde ordered knights to be sent immediately. The second prince ran very quickly in the hope that everything would be fine with her. Philomela was covered by the maid Nina. The girl was very scared. Philomela didn't quite understand how such a large monster ended up in such a place. The demonic beast from which she learned holy magic flew into a rage. Nina told the lady to calm down. Even if she was clumsy, she was not weak. The mistress noticed how her maid was trembling. Of course this would scare anyone. But Philomela can't even protect anyone. Help will come soon. The maid shouted that it was dangerous, so her mistress should move away. Philomela decided that she would endure as long as she could. She may not have perfect magic, but she should hold out a little longer. Jillian noticed this light that came from Philomela's magic. She did it, but she won't be able to hold on for long. Jillian ran there with all his might, after which the mistress fell powerless on the knees of the maid Nina. The maid asked if her mistress was okay. Philomela said that she felt more or less well, but everything is bad for them because they don't have time. Suddenly, Jillian appeared. He asked the lady if she was okay. The maid and mistress were all in tears of joy. The second principal easily dealt with the wild beast. He immediately approached the lady and asked if she was wounded. Jillian was so scared for her, and the girl was glad because he really came to her aid. Clyde believed that they were the ones who should have helped them. He was also joined by the maids who asked Mrs. Philomela if she was okay, after which the prince and lady noticed that they were standing in an embrace, so they quickly separated. Philomela thought that she was too bold, and then remembered what she wanted to ask the maid. The lady approached Nina and asked her if she was injured. The girl told the lady that she was fine, just a little scared. It doesn't look like anyone was badly hurt. Philomela is so happy, and she used the power of the saint. Jillian asked Philomela what magic she had used before. She simply made a sacred barrier. True. This was the first time she had succeeded. The prince was shocked because she had never succeeded before, after which he apologized for scaring her. But Philomela believed that she should apologize to them. Jillian asked her to improve the security of the royal palace. Now, he will always protect her. This is simply amazing. Philomela promised that she too would continue to train her magic. It is a real miracle that she was able to use the power of the saint. Jillian was surprised and asked again, "While we're talking about this the other day, the lady helped an animal. They found him all wounded. It looked like bite marks, but the lady then used healing." Philomela was shocked by what her maid was saying now. Philomela admitted that she also tried to cure the withered flower. Jillian noticed that everything was fine with them. The lady tried to find that same flower because she couldn't believe that her healing had worked. She told the prince that it was possible that she could cure him. Jillian thought about it. Philomela wanted to ask him what it was and what kind of reaction this was. After which, in her head, he immediately said that he was very glad that she succeeded. The lady began to believe that he knew something. The second principal asked the lady if she was a real saint. Philomela asked again, and when she realized what he meant, she was simply horrified with shock. Philomela really learned healing and other magic for training, but this simply cannot be. During the lessons, they were also taught ordinary magic. It seems to Philomela that you don't need to be a saint to cast these spells. True, she had never heard of such a thing, but then Patricia was a saint. Rex called for Clyde and Jillian. Clyde asked him how the knights were doing. The guy noticed that it seemed like there were no more monsters here. He immediately ran towards Philomela because he was so tired Clyde didn't quite understand how a demon of that level could appear here. Also, this strange smell Clyde noticed one night and grabbed him. He brought the guy to his brothers and mistress. He noticed that this guy even managed to imitate the smell. Jillian asked if he brought the monster here. Philomela remembered that somewhere she had already seen this man. She believed that he came to the castle because of Patricia. When he saw Philomela, it was as if he had broken free. He shouted that he must destroy this imposter. But Jillian quickly dealt with it with ease, and at the same time I asked the lady if she was okay. Philomela was very grateful. The second principal asked the knight why he brought the monster to the castle. Jillian noted that he might not answer, but then he might not hope for an easy death. The guy said that this was Patricia's order. They gave him bags and told him to scatter the contents in a certain place. Philomela didn't understand at all why her sister needed this. The guy screamed that he had no choice. Otherwise, he will never be able to see his little sister. Philomela still didn't understand why her sister did this. She was simply horrified by such information. In the kingdom of Hylidos, Mr. Andrew asked his granny if everything was okay with her. He helped her. Grandmother was grateful to him. Her granddaughter also thanked the gentleman very much. The grandmother noticed that the older brother was so kind and sweet and asked if she could ask him to pick her up. Andrew was grateful for such a good offer, but he already has a girlfriend whom he loves with all his heart. It turned out a little awkward. Her granddaughter asked for forgiveness for what her grandmother said. Andrew had to go already, so he said goodbye to his new acquaintances. The knight informed His Highness that it was time for them to leave. Andrew said he was on his way. He was very interested in what she was doing now, and he wanted to meet her so much. All the servants proudly welcomed Mr. Andrew back. Office of King Hylitos. The king asked if he really did not know where the poison came from. The guy apologized for not coping, but he said that it was okay because after all, there was almost no evidence. Andrew apologized for being rude but asked to leave. His father is a good king. But in some things he is too incompetent. He doesn't even know why she's so valuable. Andrew doesn't see any point in this. Patricia greeted Mr. Andrew with delight. Princip noticed that they had not seen each other for a long time and added that he missed him. Patricia said that she also missed him very much and was sad. Andrew apologized to her, but he needed to hear a progress report. Patricia said that he just arrived, so she asked him not to overdo it because she is worried. The prince was very grateful to her and noticed that she was very kind. Patricia was all embarrassed. Andrew said that they would see each other soon. Patricia asked him if he promised her. Patricia mentioned that little sister Philomela had left, so now no one would bother them. Andrew asked the knight if she was joking now that Philomela had left. The knight confirmed that the lady had left and noted that he wanted to inform him about this later. Andrew asked if he knew where she was. The man said that the daughter of the Marquis is now in the kingdom of Elair. The principal asked when she would return. He was informed from the bow that the lady was engaged to someone from the royal family, so her return was not planned. Andrew destroyed a vase of flowers. He ordered everyone to leave the room. The man did not understand at all what all this meant. There is no Philomela engagement with the Elair royal family. He started breaking everything, throwing it around and shouting that she was his fiancée. He wondered whether this was His Majesty's decision or the decision of the Marquis Filon himself. They don't know its price at all. He couldn't believe that it was because he had left everything as it was then. He didn't think they would decide to take her from him. He was horrified that his fiancée was going to marry another man. At the same time, Philomela began to sneeze harshly. She didn't understand what it was. She began to shiver. That person from the Hylitos kingdom is a low-ranking commoner. Patricia ordered him to sprinkle the powder in the indicated place. This is precisely why that monster came here. It seems that not everything is so smooth in Hylitos now. This man's sister is also sick. Apparently, Patricia promised him to heal this girl. If you think about it like that, then she only increased the nobles. Philomela had never thought about this before. But she is sure that the people simply do not receive healing. She wondered if she could help them without being a saint. And will she be able to save anyone? Prince Gillian came to see her. She was very happy. But the gentleman asked her to be quieter. He quickly jumped onto her balcony. Philomela asked Gillian what he was doing here at this hour. The guy said he was just worried about her. Philomela was surprised that he was worried about her. She can't sleep, but he came by on time. No one in Hylitos had ever been so worried about her. It was amazing how his mere presence warmed her. Gillian sat the culprit in front of him and said that he had to tell them everything. He greatly admires Mrs. Patricia, a saint, but given his status, all that remained was to run errands for her. He was among her fans. She treated him with all kindness, just like everyone else. The guy thought her status was incredible, but unknown diseases suddenly began to spread in Hylitos, and his sister also fell ill. She was getting worse and worse. He assured his sister that Mrs. Patricia would definitely come and treat her. That's what he thought. Patricia proudly asked him if he really thought that she would waste her energy on him. She told him that he should know his place. Although if he fulfills her request, she will help him. The guy said it was more of an order. Gillian asked him if he should have scattered the contents of this bag here in exchange for treatment. This guy confirmed it. The second principal asked if he wanted to help his sister. The guy asked in shock. Gillian reported that Philomela said she wanted to help her. That man committed a crime for his sister. His actions cannot be justified. But even though Philomela does not have the same powers that Patricia has, but she wants to at least try to help her. Philomela thought that her words sounded rather selfish. Gillian didn't understand at all why she was so kind. He told her to do as she saw fit. Philomela looked so beautiful then. Brother Clyde brought him out of his thoughts. The prince himself thought that now was not the time to think about such things. That guy said she was an imposter, so he doesn't understand why she's helping him. The prince knows how she was treated in Hylitos. If it weren't for her wish, he would have torn it into pieces right now. Jillian said that the sins he committed will not go away, but they will save his sister since Philomela wants it. The guy was infinitely grateful Prince Jillian listened to Philomela's request, and now they secretly go to Hylitos. Prince Jillian believed that Patricia only treated nobles, but she would like to help at least one of the commoners. Jillian said that it was time for them to go, but Philomela never thought that the prince would go with her. Clyde asked the guy if he was surprised that Philomela was admired here. The guy was shocked and didn't understand why. It's all about her. When she came here, she was also condemned because of bad rumors. However, after a while, people around her began to smile. She herself achieved universal recognition and became the people's favorite. Her kindness knows no bounds. Now she is trying to save those who wanted to kill her. This is truly ironic. Just think she is trying to save those who humiliated her so much being the real victims. Jillian told his brother that they were leaving. Clyde told them to be careful. The second prince shook hands with Philomela and asked if she was ready to go. The lady confirmed this and gave him her hand. Prince Jillian escorts her so that no one will know her true identity. He also prepared the simplest carriage. The coachman told Mrs. Philomela that he would protect her so she should not worry. The girls said that they had already heard this, so he should better concentrate on the road. Jillian noticed that the knights and maids really liked her. Philomela tried to deny something, and the prince wondered whether the knights would get too used to this. Meanwhile, the maids asked the lady if she wanted tofu. Philomela, of course, agreed. They also asked. Yoshina prepared this for her. She is such a capable girl. The lady was sure that her cooking definitely had no equal. The maids thought Philomela was so cute. They offered the lady to eat another one. Ninina said that her mistress could take her tofu. Philomela was very grateful. Come to think of it, this trip is a lot more fun. She's different from when she went to Elair. Then she was desperately trying to escape from Hylitos and did not think that she would meet so many good people here. After which, she noticed that same guy and asked him if he would eat tofu. The guy was simply in shock. Philomela noted that they still have time before arriving. He won't help you with his anxiety. The guy thought that he was trying to harm this person, so he burst into tears and thanked her. Although he committed a crime, he is also a victim. Patricia was blackmailing him. Philomela feels responsible for what happened. She was too obsessed with her survival to notice anything around her. It would be better without her, but she can make a mistake anyway. It's her life. Of course, there is a stop. The village of the Kingdom of Hylitos Philomela noticed that there was a gloomy atmosphere here. There aren't even people around. It looks more like an abandoned village. She noticed a teacher entering one of the houses. Philomela called the prince, and they began to look out the window. The man said that there was nothing to be done here. Her mother could not believe that the saint would never arrive. The village is too far away. She doesn't have time for this. Philomela burst into the room and asked permission to examine the patient. No one cared whether she was a doctor or not. They just wanted her to help this girl. Philomela decided to try to use her strength and hoped that the pain would go away at least a little. The girl really hoped that this girl would feel at least a little better. The patient opened her eyes and began to get up. Her mother immediately rushed into her arms. Philomela was so glad that she succeeded. The prince called his lady and they began to leave. Jillian asked if she was tired, yet Philomela said everything was fine. Jillian was very glad that she succeeded. Philomela was also delighted. The patient thanked them with tears in her eyes. They didn't know who this woman was, but for them, she is now a saint. Philomela denied everything and said that they were already leaving. People from this family then told them to come visit them again. Philomela noticed that now his sister was left so they would hurry up. The guy was very grateful. Philomela was worried that she wouldn't be able to do anything, but everything seems to be fine. Patricia doesn't come to these parts anyway, so this is a great opportunity, holy healing. The guy told the lady that his sister had woken up. Philomela said that now everything will be fine. This guy was so happy about his sister's healing that he just sat and cried on her bed. A sick girl asked Philomela if she was an angel. This confused the girl a little. Philomela told her that she was more likely an angel. Unfortunately, she is an ordinary girl. Jillian noticed that of course she resembles an angel in appearance, but she still remains human. Philomela did not understand at all what the prince was saying. The girl asked if he was the angel's boyfriend. They moved away from the topic, and Philomela said she was glad she was feeling better. The guy was very grateful to the lady. The girl was very grateful to all of them. After that, they went to several more villages. Thus, rumors spread throughout the kingdom that a new saint had appeared and was clearing the land of monsters. Jillian asked if she was okay because, after all, she had to use a lot of healing magic. Philomela said that everything is fine. This is also training. For some reason, she had the feeling that Jillian had become even more handsome. He was glad that everything was fine. He noticed that if she was not tired, he invited her to take a walk around the city tomorrow. Philomela was embarrassed and then happily agreed to this. She was just a little surprised. This was his first date with Philomela, and the girl hoped that it was just a walk. Kingdom of Hylitis. Patricia was simply furious. The maid told her that she would clean everything right away. Patricia didn't understand why at all. Since day one, Andrew has been constantly in a bad mood. This disease has also spread. Patricia is already tired of treating everyone. And she also doesn't understand at all what kind of new saint this is who helps people. She won't forgive this, because she is the only saint here. Also, that idiot never returned from the damn country. Previously, Patricia would have simply taken out her anger on Philomela, and then she thought that maybe it was her. But this is impossible. Andrew came to her and said that the maids were scared. Patricia was very happy to see him. Patricia asked if he had heard that people were spreading bad rumors about her, and she immediately rushed into his arms. Andrew knew this, but she had to be sure that she was the only saint. However, insulting a saint is not excusable. Therefore, it is time to punish this false saint. The profession added that he was right. Posing as a saint is simply blasphemy. Andrew was very interested in what they were saying about Philomel. After all, only a real saint can heal people. The prince told Patricia to leave the matter to him. The girl happily agreed to this. The crown prince thought she was such a stupid girl. He decided that he would not let Philomela escape. The maids told the mistress that it suited her very well. Philomela was very grateful for such compliments. She was pleased to wear such simple clothes again. Someone knocked on the room, and the maid said that she would open it now. It was Prince Jillian, and he asked if the lady was ready. Even in such simple clothes, he looks very chic. Philomela said she was ready and hoped she didn't look weird. She hoped he wouldn't think her clothes were funny. Jillian was very embarrassed when he looked at her. The prince apologized for his rudeness. She just looked so beautiful that he fell in love. Philomela was shocked, so she asked again. Jillian said that her dress is also beautiful, but she is beautiful no matter what she wears. He was completely beaming with joy. Philomela was very grateful to him and added that he was also handsome no matter what he was wearing. Jillian thanked her shyly. He's undercover today, so she should just call him Jill. Philomela was very surprised by such an unexpected nickname. She really can't refuse him. Finally, she tuned in and called him as needed. The guy was very happy and took her hand, after which he simply called her Fee and said that it was time for them to go. The main character was surprised by what he called her. The prince also told the maids to go. They agreed. The knights talked among themselves that they had never seen such an expression on his prince's face. With the arrival of Mrs. Philomela, his character softened a little, and this is true. Nanina noticed that big changes were apparently awaiting them, and the other maid thought her nose would bleed. The knights admired Lady Philomela, and the maids told them that they apparently did not understand her feelings for His Majesty. Prince Jillian had to try. This is his first time walking around the city of Hyliatosa. Philomela was surprised by this. Jillian first came to Hylitis a few days before her arrival. Philomela remembered how she had met him in the corridor. The guy noticed that it was then that he encountered her for the first time. Philomela was surprised that he remembered her. The prince confirmed this and added that he was sorry that he pushed her then, but he was glad that everything turned out that way. Philomela told him to forget about it. She would like to show him around, but she was forbidden to leave the castle in Hylitos. In this case, Jillian is calm. Wherever they go, they will enjoy new beauties together. Philomela was simply delighted when she saw the jewelry that was being sold at the market. Suddenly, they heard the knight making some kind of announcement and calling everyone. He said they were looking for this girl. Everyone who saw her had to take a step forward. She noticed Prince Andrew there. And I didn't understand at all why the girl depicted was her. Why are they looking for her? Jillian said that everything was fine and suggested that she quickly leave here. Suddenly, Andrew noticed Philomela. For him, the saint was a dream. Thanks to her powers, she can heal people. As a child, he was truly fascinated by her. His mother asked if he really loved the saint, and the guy told her that it was true. The father turned to his son and said that this was good, because in the future he would marry a saint. Andrew was delighted that the saint really existed. He himself could not believe that he was marrying the one who made his heart beat faster. This means that in order to live up to the sainthood, he needs to become an exemplary prince. After reading many books, Andrew was able to create an image of the saint in his head. He was afraid that the real saint would be different. But it soon became clear that his fears were in vain. She stole his heart at first sight. The fact that Philomela was special was undeniable. He introduced himself to her as expected back in childhood. He called Philomela. The prince was sure that it was definitely her. He could not be mistaken. Therefore, the prince ordered to catch them. The knights immediately began to act. The prince realized that he had noticed them. Gillian told Philomela not to worry because he would protect her. They started running away from them. But soon, Prince Andrew himself appeared in front of them. He didn't understand at all why she left him alone. Philomela didn't understand what was happening, where she couldn't believe that Andrew wanted to kill her so badly. Gillian took the mistress and told her to run away with him. Andrew decided that she would never run away from him. Suddenly, Patricia appeared next to him and said that she was pleased to meet him in such a place. She was delighted that he cared so much about her. He tried to catch up with them, but Patricia stopped him. The prince asked the lady what she was doing here. Patricia said that people asked to help them, so she came here. After all, she is a real saint and very merciful. Andrew listened to her with a smile. But in my mind, I thought that he would definitely catch Philomela. Gillian asked the lady if she was okay. The prince apologized for putting her in danger, but Philomela thanked him for saving her. The girl would never have thought that Andrew was looking for her. He looked so scary. More importantly, she puts Elair in danger by doing so. If Gillian gets into trouble because of her, she won't forgive herself. Gillian suggested that Philomela return back to Elair. The girl completely agreed with him. While Philomela was thinking about what Andrew would do, they had already arrived in Elair. Fortunately, they were not pursued, so the journey home was calm. Elair Kingdom's separate palace princip noted that they returned safely. Rex congratulated them on their return. Gillian himself noticed that they were back. All the servants and knights greeted Lady Philomela with joy and said that they missed her very much. Philomela was grateful to everyone. Clyde noticed that they seemed to have become closer on the trip. They were flushed, and Rex came up to them and asked why they were so flushed. Gillian said that they had a date in Hylitus. The maids were simply delighted. Rex was in complete shock when he heard about the date. He said that his brother was very cunning. Philomela noticed that everything was, as always, a lot happened. But she still returned to Hylitos. Philomela burst into tears, and Gillian kept asking if anything hurt her. But the lady said that she just felt relieved, and the tears started to flow. The prince sighed lightly. Rex was angry, and said that Gillian made Philomela cry. The prince was simply in shock. Clyde said that she was so poor and invited her to his place because he could console her. Gillian told him to stop saying stupid things. Philomela was grateful for the care, but she is fine now. Now there are people who are waiting for her return, and she is not afraid of them at all. The main character feels so happy for the first time. After returning to Hylitos, the man whom Patricia had persuaded to commit the crime defected to Prince Gillian's side along with his sister. To celebrate their return, the palace even threw a party. Everyone seems to be having fun, and the dish that Yoshina prepared today is incredibly delicious. No one in this country compares to her. When the lady noticed her, she immediately called her to her. The girl was in a stupor when she saw Prince Gillian and Mrs. Philomela. The lady noticed that her dish was an incredible success. Yoshina never thought that the day would ever come when people would admire her country's dishes. All thanks to her mistress. Suddenly, someone called Philomela. This man noticed that they were seeing each other for the first time, but he is very glad that he was given the opportunity to become a chef in this country. Philomela remembered that it was he who refused Yoshina. She will never forgive him for this. He was very grateful to her for accepting Yoshina. Both the lady and the cook were in complete shock. Yoshina asked him what all this meant because the boss didn't like her cooking. The man didn't think he could call himself a boss. Ha may have been strict with Yoshina, but he admired her cooking more than anyone else. The cook was always interested in how her dishes would be received here. The chief admitted that he was very wrong, and he is grateful to the lady for not allowing him to lose such a talent. Philomela was immensely happy. The lady asked if this was the work of Prince Gillian. He didn't think it would go so well. Gillian said that thanks to Philomela, there are many more smiling faces in this kingdom. and he would like to continue to observe changes in the country. She gave them a lot. After his arrival, he too is extremely grateful to her. In Hylidas, Philomela was despised and called a false saint, but Prince Gillian and the people of Elair say they welcome her. She's so happy. Gillian talked about what he saw in the kingdom of Hylidas. Clyde asked his brother what he was going to do. The kingdom of Hylidas demands the return of Philomela Philant. Gillian believed that they were under no obligation to answer them. Clyde agreed with him, but wanted to say something else. Rex turned to him and noted that it was too late to tell him anything. No matter how you look at it, that prince is obsessed with Philomela. She didn't seem to realize that he was trying to catch her for another purpose. She's most likely in danger. Gillian will not allow anyone to touch her and will definitely protect her. Kingdom of Hylidas, Inner Garden. Patricia asked the lady if she had ever been to the kingdom of Elair. The lady confirmed this and said that her father was building diplomatic relations with them, so she had known the royal family since childhood. This is the daughter of an aristocrat, Celestina. She would even like to marry into the royal family, but they have a curse. Another lady told Patricia that she seemed to be in love with the second crown prince of the cursed country, and Patricia always found tea parties very boring. This is so ridiculous. Patricia heard that it was the second prince who decided to get engaged to Philomela. Patricia told that lady that it was too late. The lady did not quite understand what the saint was talking about. The lady was sure that His Highness the second prince was suffering from a curse. It seems to her that such a good person can help His Majesty. If she, being related to her, joined the royal family of that country, then she could use the power of the saint to help him. Celestiana was grateful to her, and it will be better for the people of the damned country if someone from another country accepts their curse. No one could love this girl. Elair Kingdom Imperial Palace Courtyard. Philomela said that it was very beautiful here. The principal agreed with her. Even among all these flowers, she remains the most beautiful. The lady was very grateful for such a compliment. Gillian asked Philomela to close her eyes for a second. The lady agreed and hoped that this was not what she was thinking about because it was too unexpected. She saw in front of her a necklace that she liked in Hylidas. Gillian wanted to give it to her right away, but it wasn't the right time, so he thought it would be better to do it later. Philomela was so happy. The prince was pleased to hear this. He was always there for her in difficult times, and Gillian hopes that this will help close the distance between them. Suddenly, a knight approached them. He turned to Mr. Gillian. The prince asked him what happened. He called the gentleman and lady behind him. There was a stranger who immediately rushed into Gillian's arms when she saw him. Philomela did not understand at all what kind of woman she was. The prince ordered her to move away from him. Celestiana said that they had not seen the prince for so long, and she was very lonely without him. Philomela did not understand at all what all this meant. Celestiana asked Philomela if she was that same saint. Gillian ordered her to stop. The lady continued to say that she missed him very much. They had to be separated because he was forced to be with Philomela, but they still love each other. Celestina said that it was all because of her and pointed her finger at Philomela. Prince Julian loves another man. He can't be like Patricia Clyde. And Rex approached them and asked what was going on here. Philomela asked if Prince Gillian had a lover. Clyde didn't quite understand what she meant. Philomela told the prince that he should not have cared so much about her, moreover, since he already has a lover. Clyde denied this and said that his brother could not love her. Philomela doesn't quite understand what's going on. Rex also agreed with this and added that she is a liar and her persistence goes beyond all limits. Gillian himself came up and said that she had deceived her. There are rumors that the curse on their country is easing. Gillian thinks this is their evil plan to get Philomela back. The lady asked if it was true. In this case, Philomela is calm, but Gillian was upset that she backed down so easily. Philomela added that she had no right to disturb him. It seemed to him that if he was in a hurry, she would want to run away from him. Gillian informed Philomela that he would no longer hold back. The girl agreed to this. Celestine broke free from the knights and screamed for them to wait. Philomela began to think that perhaps she really was in love with Prince Gillian, which is why she behaved this way. The prince told Philomela that it was the young lady who liked to make things up. She is the daughter of an aristocrat from another country who runs a big business. He has been suffering from her attacks for a long time. And yet she's nothing but problems, Rex noted, if she decides to bother Philomela. Gillian said she shouldn't care. Philomela decided to listen to him. The girl didn't think she had to worry about it. Celestine was furious because she was told this to me. She did not understand at all why this was so. Gillian had such a happy face next to her. She had never seen him like this. Patricia said that in truth it was her sister who would become the wife of the second prince. But she looked like he would take such a step. She can't even imagine what awaits this country. Patricia said that if only Celestine were next to the second crown prince, but for now her heart bleeds for their future. Celestine didn't understand how this could be. If this was true, then Prince Gillian was in big trouble. Patricia noticed that even in Hilatos, everyone abandoned her, and in Elair they are forced to serve her. Well, that's what they say. Celestine said that Prince Gillian may seem cold, but he is very kind. Lady Celestina decided that she could not leave it like that. Another lady was telling Mistress Patricia that she was so wonderful. It is not surprising that Philomela tried to put a spoke in her wheels. Everyone agreed on this. This false saint should not act so arrogantly. Celestina was tough. Despite this, Prince Gillian was very angry. He also looked at Celestina so frighteningly that she was already scared. A maid entered the room and was horrified when she saw her mistress's hand. Celestina didn't quite understand what was going on, but when she saw it herself, she was horrified. Mrs. Philomela and the maids heard a strange sound. Philomela saw that it was Nanina screaming, so she asked what happened. The maid said that in the end, Lady Philomela is the only and real point. She said that she was very lucky to serve such a wonderful person, and she was so happy. Nanina said that the lady is always so kind and even forgives her all her mistakes. Another maid scolded her for not controlling her emotions again. Suddenly, the maid pointed towards the garden, and there were simply wonderful flowers there. Philomela did not understand at all what it was. They are so beautiful and so shiny. These flowers are considered the best in medicine. It is the wind that makes them shimmer in different colors. In other words, these plants are of the highest quality. These plants, perhaps all this time. The princess agreed that after Philomela arrived in Elair, medicinal herbs began to grow again. He was also informed that their effect had increased. Philomela was very surprised by this turn. The prince thought so. It's all thanks to her strength. Philomela could not be sure that her strength was behind this. If it is true, Philomela told Prince Gillian that she hoped she could continue to help him. This would make her happy. After researching medicinal herbs, their value was rated at the highest rank. So it was established that decoctions made from them have significant success. Medicine again began to generate great profits for which they decided to reward it. Philomela said that she could not accept this. Clyde told her not to be shy because she deserved it. Philomela said that she didn't do anything no matter how you look at it, and this is too much. Prince Gillian said that he was grateful for her help with medicinal herbs, but he was not sure that it was not a burden on her. In any case, Philomela was very happy with this award. They walked somewhere, and the mistress told the maid not to lag behind. Now the main character has some money to take a walk around the nearest city. This is good news. Prince Gillian, Clyde, and Rex. She needs to buy them something as a gift, but she doesn't quite know what she can give the prince. She noticed a crowd of people and asked the maid what it was. This hotel looks luxurious. Yes, Nanina said that this is the best hotel in the city. The screams were coming from there. Someone shouted that they shouldn't come in because she didn't want to see them, and she wouldn't go out into the street either. She was told that there was already a client standing there who had booked a room after her. She said that they would pay any money. The male attendant apologized for the inconvenience. Philomela decided to approach and ask the man what was happening here. He said that the client was locked in the room, although he only had a reservation for 2 days because then another person was supposed to move in. Recipe said that he belonged to a knightly order that served the royal family and asked if he could tell everything. The knight noted that in a normal situation, he should not disclose personal information about clients, but he should not leave everything to chance. The man doesn't know the details, but 3 days ago they purchased and delivered a lot of medicine for this client. He thought I was unwell and decided to call a doctor. Philomela asked what happened next. According to the doctor, she has a serious illness. It is not life-threatening and medications will definitely help. But the client said he would not leave the room until he recovered. We are talking about the daughter of an aristocrat from another country. Her family has an extensive business and they are not short of money, although one cannot say so categorically. A lady from a wealthy family, the daughter of an aristocrat from another country. Somewhere Philomela had already heard this. Philomela remembered that a lady from such a family could provide her with many goods and was very happy. Philomela apologized and said that she would be glad to meet this girl in person. Nanina asked the lady if she was really going to enter this room. The knight also said that they had already brought her medicine, so she should better see a doctor. She doesn't want to leave the room, and the knight believed that someone might be pursuing her. But Philomela was sure that everything would be fine. After all, they will be next to her, and this is just a young girl. Philomela thought that she didn't want to go out because she was afraid of being seen like this, and she could understand that. In the past, due to stress, she constantly had problems with her face and tried to hide them with makeup. But it only got worse. Although it was worth just resting, Lady Philomela must be referring to her life in Hylitos. The servants thought that there was just terrible chaos there. Nanina told the lady that if she really wanted to come in, then she would go with her. Philomela said that she did not go far away. The knight said that if someone dared to harm her, he would kill him without hesitation. Philomela said, "No need. That girl is a commoner to me, and under no circumstances should I carry out a massacre here. In order for everything to go smoothly, she needs to be careful." Philomela knocked and heard a cry from the room that she had already said that she would not come out. She felt very sorry for this girl because then she also did not know what to do. She had heard this voice somewhere before. Philomela said she came here because she thought she could help her, so she asks to be let into the room. The girl decided to open the door and Philomela entered. The woman in the room asked if she could really help her. The lady needs to examine her first, but she thinks she can help. Philomela decided that she needed to prove herself, and she should recommend a few remedies for this girl. The girl was horrified when she saw who entered the room. Philomela was also scared when she revealed her face. The lady realized that it was Celestina. She asked if Philomela was surprised at how terrible it was, and in desperation, she asked if she could be helped. She decided that Philomela had decided to play a trick on her in this way, and she wanted to attack her out of rage. Philomela said that she was sure that she could help her. After all, in Hylitos, she had already treated people. Celestina told you to stop lying to her. After all, she is a false saint. She expected nothing less from the impostor. Celestina said that Mistress Patricia was right, and Philomela is a terrible person. At this time, the knight and Philomela's maid had already entered the room. Philomela did not understand at all what to do. The rash will, of course, go away, but she thinks it will be difficult to advise her on treatment options. The gentleman who runs the hotel came and asked what was going on. Philomela tried to throw away all bad thoughts, after which she agreed that she was a false saint. Celestina said that this was what needed to be proven. Philomela said that despite this, she could cure her. Celestina angrily asked what she was even talking about. The mistress apologized for touching Celestine without permission, but she had to somehow show her strength. The rash went away immediately. Celestine asked if this was some kind of joke. Everything passed, but he seemed to say that it would take time. Philomela touched it without thinking, but she didn't think it would be possible to use magic. The lady said that everything would be fine. She should just trust her. Until the early heals completely, she will treat it. Philomela also wanted to advise her on remedies that could help in the future. Now, Celestine was not confident in Patricia's words that this woman was an imposter. Philomela completely cured Celestina, and she said that everything was fine now. The lady was overjoyed by this. She had such a strange feeling, and she had absolutely no idea what was wrong with her skin. Philomela asked if everything was okay because she thought something was wrong. She noticed that her skin was still beautiful, and there's nothing like that on her anymore. This is exactly what Celestina wanted to say. She's even too beautiful. The lady looks even better than she did before the rash, she shouted again, and Philomela began to think that she had done something wrong. Celestina was in complete shock because she even lost the scar on her forehead that she received as a child. She has already tried so many creams, but none of them have helped. The main character was simply in shock. Celestina now did not understand at all why she was called a false saint. Philomela said that she had never been a saint. The lady couldn't believe it. Only a saint could have such incredible power. However, her opinion will not make her a saint. After all, this place belongs to Patricia. This was mentioned in the novel, so there can be no mistake. However, Patricia was unable to heal Celestine's scar. Patricia told her that even with magic, she would not be able to work on wounds that had already healed naturally. Despite her strength, Patricia cannot believe that she made such a request to her. After all, such ugly scars cannot disappear so easily. This probably means a lot to her. It turns out that even a saint cannot help her, but Philomela was able to do it and cured her. Philomela said that she didn't do anything like that because it was just a normal rash. Now Celestina realized that Mrs. Philomela was so kind, and yet it seems she got it all wrong. And she mistook her behavior for rudeness, but now she understands that the lady is good, and Prince Gillian himself agreed to this marriage, and he really appreciates her. This angered Celestine, and yet this is such a terrible misunderstanding. The maid Nanina approached Mrs. Philomela and asked if everything was okay. So many people are against Philomela. Philomela denied this. And once I asked her if he was right, the lady said that all this was not true because everything ended well. In Hiletos, everyone considers her bad, however. After talking closer, Celestina realized that the rumors were lies. But it is completely unclear why Patricia is opposed to her. She said so many bad things about her sister. How come Patricia is not the same? Still, she doesn't know her closely, and Philomela may just be pretending. Philomela noticed that she wanted to ask her something. The lady said that if she is talking about payment for healing, then Celestina will give as much as she wants. Philomela said that she didn't need the money because she hadn't done anything like that. In this case, Celestina did not quite understand what she needed. What does she need? I don't need money to give away. It wouldn't be surprising if she decided to punish her considering the recent incident. But despite this, she still cured her. She believed that her mistress might ask her to do something out of the ordinary. Philomela apologized, but if she feels well, then Philomela asks her for a ride. Celestina was in complete shock. Philomela was embarrassed because she was the mistress of Prince Gillian. Although this is not true, she really wondered if Celestine liked Prince Gillian. So the lady decided to just tell her to forget about what she said, before Celestina guessed that she wanted to talk about the prince. Philomela didn't understand at all how she guessed about it. Celestina noticed that everything was written all over her face. Whatever one may say, this is strange. Well, she doesn't seem like a bad person, it's all written all over her face. Celestina said that if Mrs. Philomela didn't mind, she would like to give her some advice. Philomela asked if she liked Prince Gillian. She understands that it is tactless for her to discuss such things, so she apologizes. Celestina said that the fact of the matter is that she doesn't like him, and nothing happened between them, so she doesn't have to worry. She just wanted to marry the prince too. After all, she is not so beautiful anymore, so men often ignore her. However, Prince Julian was different. He never smiled at a lady. It didn't matter how beautiful she was. He treated Celestine the same way Prince Gillian would drink, which is why no one wanted to marry him. The prince is cold to everyone. Now that she thinks about it, she feels like she was just admiring him. These emotions prevented her from thinking logically. So it's just a misunderstanding. Philomela believed that love could be described the same way. Celestine asked if she saw how coldly he looked at her. Then she thought he would kill her right there. Celestina told the lady that this is why he is considered such a terrible person. The main character didn't quite understand. Celestina noticed that it was unlikely that he had ever looked at her like that, only if he was in love. It's wonderful that the prince is only sweet to her. Therefore, she is unsure whether she can continue to call him a terrible person. A maid approached Philomela and asked me if the lady thought she was too strange, and asked if she really wanted to continue this conversation. Philomela agreed to continue this conversation and told Nina that she was just a little confused. The knight said that if she wanted to thank the lady, she could discuss the details with him. Celestina agreed and asked what she wanted to know. She thought that she was interested in what she could give the prince. She asked the lady not to worry because she would not advise anything bad. After all, she is an aristocrat and can introduce her to some wonderful masters. Philomela was simply delighted Celestina decided for herself that she would definitely repay her kindness. Then Prince Gillian will forgive her. She feels like she should tell her. Philomela had the feeling that they wanted to eat her. Gillian I was in my office and was thinking about whether everything was fine with his fiancée now. Somehow he had a bad feeling when he thought about it. Celestina said that these things would be perfect as gifts for the royal family. Philomela thought it would be better if she just gave her some advice. Everything turned out much worse than she thought. The best gifts for men are weapons, expensive capes, swords, and jewelry, as well as other small items made by artificial craftsmen using excellent materials. Madame's favorite gift is this. When Philomela saw this, she immediately realized that this was a restorative potion of the highest quality. Celestina said that it only recently appeared on the market, so quantities are limited. She doesn't know who created it, but this potion is so popular that even they had a hard time getting it. Philomela did not understand at all what to do. She created this healing potion and prepared specially grown herbs. It was decided not to disclose her name, so the quantity for sale was limited. Yes, and not that much, but it's popular. Of course, we should not forget that it was made in the royal castle. Prince Gillian is cursed, Clyde loves to hunt, and Prince Rex is not rich. She is sure that it would be useful to them. Hard to tell, Celestina said that she personally chose him. There is no doubt about its uniqueness. It seems to her that it's not the method of preparation, but the ingredients and rare medicinal herbs grown in a special way. Philomela asked in delight how she realized this. Celestina couldn't believe it was true. She couldn't believe at all that this medicine was made from medicinal herbs grown with the help of Lady Philomela's powers. So this medicine was made in the royal castle. Philomela began to apologize for not saying so right away. She didn't want to deceive her. Celestine didn't think that the medicinal herbs it was made from were herbs grown by Patricia. Good Patricia, who made a cure for the cursed kingdom of Elair. That's why it's so special. This is a real miracle herb. She wanted to see her so badly. Philomela noticed that this was such a coincidence, so she suggested we take a look. Celestina was simply in shock. The maid and the knight were also shocked. Philomela was immediately frightened and asked them if she should have told her this. It seems that the prince does not have the best opinion of his lady. The medicinal plants are in a separate part of the royal palace, and she thought that she would get permission without any problems. It seemed to her that if they weren't friends, everything would be fine. But in life, everything turned out to be a little more difficult. Mrs. Philomela said that they were friends, but it was Nanina who wanted to become her friend. The lady seems to call them her friends, but she is not sure about it. The knight believed that he was nothing but problems. A little more, and he could be mistaken for a criminal. Celestina really wanted to be friends with her. Philomela began to apologize for not living up to her hopes. Nanina told them to go to the royal palace right now. The knight said that there was no problem because he could take responsibility. Celestina apologized for such rude behavior, but really asks to become her friend. Philomela immediately agreed to this. Celestina said that she might think about it some more, because after all, she had more important things to do. This should be sorted out first. This has to do with the royal family since she won't go with them. At least this way she will give him a gift. The lady highly recommends this product as well as the restoration potion. Philomela asked if she could open it. There was a very beautiful necklace there. This is a special magical stone that can be imbued with magic. If you fill it with your magic, then this stone will become one of a kind. Celestine's ideas were good, so the lady decided to give Prince Gillian a stone filled with her magic. She also managed to choose good gifts for Rex and Clyde. She said goodbye to Madame Celestina. The next day, she managed to obtain official permission for Celestina to visit a separate castle. She greeted Mrs. Philomela, and I was very grateful for the invitation. She was surprised when she saw Philomela greeting her. After all, this means that she was waiting for her. The lady herself thought that she would not come out to meet her. Philomela was so excited that she couldn't sit still. Celestine thought she was so cute. Philomela has an appointment with Celestina today. The prince hoped that everything would be all right. With them will be a knight and the maid. Nanina Gillian himself gave her permission. Nanina then said that the lady really asked for this. The maid, almost with tears in her eyes, said that if only he could see how her eyes were burning. When the prince heard that her eyes sparkled, he immediately became shy. The maid said it was true, and it seems that Madame Celestina is also happy about this invitation. The prince said that something could happen to him. To this, the knight said that in this case he would kill anyone with a sword. Basically, he told me that he should forget that she is the daughter of an aristocrat. And Philomela herself asked him about this. She looked at him with such eyes that he immediately wanted to give her everything right now. Gillian told her that she could have tea parties at any time. He didn't understand at all how he could have refused her then. But he can't help but worry. However, Celestina has little control over herself in love affairs, although in business she is smart and sensible. Previously, the prince turned a blind eye to the trouble she caused. But Philomela, who went through difficult times in her homeland, is more sensitive to negativity. If she gets close to this girl, he doesn't think everything will be fine. Celestina was in complete shock and did not understand at all what animals and sweets from an eastern country were doing here. Philomela said that she did not expect anything less from her. Her father praised them very much, so she had long wanted to try this. But she never would have thought that she would do this in the kingdom of Elair. Philomela noticed that Yoshina's sweets were very tasty. Celestina was eager to try it with her hands. She couldn't hold back, she did it. Philomela was surprised because she was not going to give her everything, but I still noticed that the lady was very nice. The prince did not understand at all what it was. He wondered when they had become so close he came, because he was worried about the bride. But now he cares. Celestine asked if Philomela would be okay with her seeing the ingredients of the restorative potion. It was very beautiful there. Celestina approached her with a request. The lady invited her to do business with her. Philomela was simply horrified and shocked at the same time. When the prince heard about this, he immediately thought that this woman was trying to use his bride for her own purposes. He needs to stop this. But then, Clyde appeared from behind. I asked how long ago his beloved younger brother began to sneak into the palace grounds. Jillian said he was wrong because he was just worried about Philomel. Rex jumped out of the bushes and started screaming. He thought Jillian was lying, but she really came. Philomela asked the gentleman to wait with his conclusions. Given Celestine's behavior, it's no surprise that he doesn't like her. However, this is not the time to be timid. After all, she wants to become Philomela's friend. Celestina began to apologize for that incident and say that she was truly very sorry Philomela was shocked. After thinking a little, Rex said that if Philomela was goodbye, then so was he. Celestina asked Summer that she could become Philomela's friend. Rex added that although her magical power is calming, Philomela should not be underestimated. She recently beat him up. Celestine understood him and was grateful to him. She noted that you might not be able to tell from the outside, but her desire is sincere. Philomela decided to ask her why she constantly talks badly about her appearance, and asked who told her that she was ugly. Bright eyes, fair skin, and a beautiful smile, Celestina is so cute. You can, in her aristocracy, she is similar to Patricia, but definitely not in her beauty. In her past life, the main character also liked this style. Clyde noticed that these young people seemed to be serious. As long as he is at work, the prince has nothing to worry about. But Jillian is still worried. Clyde said that they had to go and took the second prince with him. The first prince would never have thought that Jillian could be like this. Previously, he could only talk to Rex. Because Jillian was always busy and didn't need help, it turns out that the younger brother is also a cutie. He loves this side of him. Someone knocked on the door and was a little annoyed that someone had come to him again. It was Philomela. She asked the gentleman if he was busy. When the prince saw her, he was immediately distracted from his work. He quickly approached her and began to ask what was wrong and what happened. The girl noticed that now Jillian looks more like a dog than a cat. Philomela said hesitantly that she actually would like to give him something. The prince asked in anticipation what it was. Philomela said that she received money from selling medicines, so she decided to buy him a gift. Jillian was simply delighted and asked if she could open it for him already. Philomela confirmed this and hoped he would like it. When he opened it, he saw a magic stone there and asked if it already had power. Philomela thought it amazing that he understood this right away. The girl confirmed this and added that she tried to add her strength there. This is, of course, a small gift. But Jillian didn't think so, and he shouted that this gift was wonderful. He was very grateful to his bride for such a gift, and I was very glad to receive it. Philomela noticed that her new friend helped her with her choice. Prince Jillian was a little surprised, but I realized for myself that Philomela really knows how to calm people down. Like my brother said, there's nothing to worry about. Jillian commented that he noticed that they had become good friends. Philomela confirmed this. She began endlessly telling the whole story of their friendship. Jillian realized that he was still worried. He remembered that his older brother had a new dagger. He then said that he was just looking for something similar. And Rex has a pillow with a calming effect. He said that she was so fluffy and he could put her in second place in the comfort rating. Because Philomela's knees come first, Philomela said she had a request. The prince asked what she was talking about. Philomela told what Lady Celestina had offered her to do with her. Long story short, they decided to open a business. If Philomela's power will be useful, then she wants to try. And that's why he asks for permission. Philomela said it was a private business, and her friend will supply food and she will lend her her strength. Celestina uses medicinal herbs grown by her. She wants to make cosmetics out of them. The knights were shocked when they looked at the maids. Just stop wondering if maids have always been so beautiful. Ninina told the lady to look at them because later they shined so much. Philomela was so happy. The lady asked if there were any remedies that did not help them, but the maid said they were all amazing. First, Celestina made a face cream. Philomela thinks it's for the rash. Apparently, she didn't want anyone else to suffer from it. Philomella's magic is truly capable of healing. Cosmetic products made from medicinal herbs are a great hope for others. Celestina said that many girls suffer from chain scars and other things, so she wants to create cosmetics that will help them. Of course, it is impossible to cure absolutely everyone. However, if this cream is put on sale, Philomela will be able to help people even from a distance. Now they are still in the process of creating it, so they are testing its maids. Philomela was very glad that she had them. Prince Gillian came to see her. She immediately ran to him. The man noticed that everything seemed to be going well. Philomela was very grateful to him for allowing them to work together. The prince said that he did nothing because she achieved it herself. Philomela was embarrassed by such words. Nanina said that Mrs. Philomela and Principal Gillian were so sweet, the maids just blushed just looking at them right up to the bloody nose. The main character remembers that in a past life, there were creams for different skin types, but so far, it suits everyone. It's all about properly selected medicinal herbs. Or it is possible that in this world, everything is different. Celestina approached them. She was very scared of Prince Gillian because he was looking at her menacingly. Suddenly, the lady asked Philomela if she had seen it. After all, the skin of all the maids is so radiant. Prince Rex said he did too. He tried to throw himself into Philomela's arms, but Gillian immediately pulled him away. After this, the cream successfully entered the market through the Celestine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It was also decided to sell it to noble ladies. The aristocrats told Madame Celestina that she looked simply beautiful, and her skin glows so much. Celestina said that she just started using this cream. They couldn't believe he was actually working. The ladies couldn't even tell whether she was wearing makeup or not. Therefore, now many aristocrats want him. Celestina said that, in fact, someone helped her in creating it. This is her company's cream. Celestina often visits other countries and has a wide circle of friends, so word of mouth about the cream spread instantly. By the way, it seems that this cream is really good. It seems to make the skin smooth and shiny. Since they all praise it so much, Patricia also wants to try this cream. The ladies said that the merchants would deliver it soon. Subscribe asked where exactly you can buy it. The lady said that her friend said that Celestine's company makes it. Patricia found this quite interesting, and she wanted to figure it out on her own. But Patricia wanted to set her up. But she had not yet heard about the scandal between her and Philomela. This is probably ugly, but even if the prince didn't hate her, she would still have a hard time. Also, with this scar, everyone was very sorry that Lady Celestina did not come today. Patricia said not to tell them that, because after all, she is quite a popular person now. And Patricia should rejoice at her success, so she invites the ladies to invite her next time. The women said that she was very kind, and it would be great to hear about her cream. Celestina is an ordinary child, she never knew how to use her status. And then she decided to go into business. It seems like a benefit. Patricia is even ready to be nice to her. She's quite a cunning person. From that day on, they began to see each other more often. This helped her become convinced that all the rumors were false. She is not arrogant or selfish at all. Celestina only saw the good side of her. They are similar in appearance, but not in any way internally with Patricia. She was touched when she looked at the lady and the prince, but after that, she began to think that something was wrong here. He asked Gillian what she had to do with him. Celestina was afraid to tell him something, because with Philomela, he behaves completely differently. He's very nice to her. Celestine said that she would like to thank him and apologize for her behavior earlier. She is very grateful to the prince for giving her a second chance. Judging by his observations, she really has changed for the better. Philomela has a positive influence on the people around her. Gillian noted that he thinks that Philomela is more joyful to communicate with, so he is not against their friendship. Celestina was very grateful and said that she would also like to talk about Mrs. Patricia. Previously, Celestina was part of her social circle, and it was she who told her about her sister. Gillian asked if she was talking about the false saint of Hylitos. Usually, it is called that. Celestine was told that Philomela was very jealous of Patricia. In fact, what they discussed was much worse. Philomela was said to be so cruel that she used force on her servants. She also mocks her fiancé, Prince Andrew. Even without power, she still considers herself a saint and pursues Patricia. Of course, Mrs. Patricia did not accuse her directly, which aroused even more sympathy for herself. But after meeting Philomela, Celestina realized that the rumors were lies. This gave her an idea. She learned about this from Patricia. Therefore, she believes that she specifically told her about this. This is interesting. Anyone will notice that Philomela is different from her rumored self. However, she doubts the saint's words. This strength is highly valued in the world, which is why everyone believes Patricia. To be honest, the prince also believed these rumors at first. But exactly until I got to know Philomela well, and Celestina is as stupid to me as he thought. Jillian noticed that his wife still has a keen eye for people. It seems that Mrs. Patricia is the toilet who she claims to be. I completely agree with this principle. Celestina said that she was going to convey this to everyone. Due to the increasing number of cases of the disease, appointments have been postponed for some time. The ladies were very happy that the disease had finally subsided, and all thanks to Mrs. Patricia, they had absolutely no idea what would happen to them without her. Patricia said they were exaggerating. Of course, this is her merit, but she is annoyed by the appearance of a new saint. When Philomela left, she felt relieved also for Patricia, since the spread of disease had stopped. That false saint is probably suffering there now. Patricia told them not to say that because she was always upset by Philomela's attitude towards her, and she would really like to see her. The ladies were touched by this and said that Patricia was such a wonderful person. This is what was expected of a saint. Everyone greeted Celestina because everyone had not seen her for a long time, and Patricia was especially glad to see her. Celestina was very grateful for the invitation. Patricia noticed that she really was getting prettier, and she was even a little jealous of her. It seems that her cream really works, but she's still inferior to her in beauty. Patricia said that she was also interested in her cream. In any case, he will have to find out the secret of its preparation. Celestina couldn't believe that Mistress Patricia was also interested in him. In fact, she hoped so she grabbed a jar for her too. It's not even worth thanking. Patricia said that it was very cool and asked if he would really help her. Celestina confirmed this. They created this cream thanks to the help of the kingdom of Halitos. All the ladies were surprised when they heard about this. Celestina told her to try it first. The ladies said that the rumors were true and it has an incredibly beautiful color and a simply lovely smell. Celestina said that it is also a healing cream, and if they use it on wounds, they will heal quickly. When the men tried it, they confirmed this. Everyone was wondering if this cream helps with more serious injuries. Videos early and really quickly heal. Patricia applied it to her hand and agreed that it was good. Well, she was surprised that Celestina could create something like that. Celestina said that she makes everything from ingredients. This cream is made from medicinal herbs. The guests did not understand at all from what medicinal herbs this cream could be made if the kingdom helped in its creation. To be more precise, he made it from magical medicinal plants. During their cultivation, special magic is used. All the guests said that Mrs. Patricia did not tell them anything about this. Patricia didn't understand anything at all. The ladies couldn't believe that Patricia grows the medicinal plants from which this cream is made. She truly is a wonderful person. After all, such wonderful remedies would not grow in nature. Only a saint can create something like this. Celestina said they all knew her. Patricia couldn't believe it. She would never have believed it. Patricia said that if it really was something special, then it would be better to keep the name of the manufacturer a secret. Celestina said that everything was fine and she had nothing to hide. The medicinal herbs used to prepare the cream were grown by the girl. That is the daughter of the Marquis from the kingdom of Halitos, Lady Philomela, with their sister, Saint Patricia. Patricia was simply furious. She just wanted to tear this girl to shreds already. She all thought about it and realized that she was talking about a false saint. Perhaps this is some kind of mistake. Patricia decided that no one would believe the merchant's daughter, so she didn't have much to worry about. Patricia told everyone not to say that, because it was true that her sister could not use the power of the saint, and the fact that she managed to create this cream. She understands what they are going through, but little sister worked hard, although she did not achieve what she did. If Philomela made this cream, it means it's not that effective. All the guests began to think so. They were sure that she had definitely added some harmful ingredient to it, and it definitely has a lot of side effects. They decided that it was definitely a fake. Patricia began to deny everything and say that her sister would not do something like that. That's right. Philomela cannot be good in their eyes. It doesn't matter whether the remedy is effective or not. No one will believe her. Everyone started talking about how Mrs. Patricia is so kind because she still protects her, but Philomela always envied her. The gentleman did not think that Mrs. Patricia would really protect Mrs. Philomela after everything that happened. One of the men began to shout that Philomela caused only problems, and he did not believe that this cream would not cause any side effects. Celestina, horrified, began to say that this was all wrong. Patricia agreed and said that this was Celestina's cream. The guests decided that since Mrs. Patricia said so, it was true. Celestina was simply horrified. It's no wonder Patricia worked so hard to build her reputation. This concludes the fate of her cream. Celestina didn't understand how it was at all. She can't believe things turned out this way. She wanted to justify Philomela, but Mrs. Patricia deliberately humiliates her. Although Philomela is not like that at all. Now she understood everything. Patricia pretends to protect her sister in order to present herself in a good light. No matter how you look at it, she turned everyone against her sister, Philomela. Celestina also once considered Patricia to be a real saint, and she herself said that her sister cannot use the power of the saint. But Celestina knows that this is not so. Everyone was thinking about preventing death from using this popular cream because Philomela made it. Celestine was shocked by what they were saying. One of the ladies suggested that Mrs. Patricia make the same cream. After all, Mrs. Patricia's cream will clearly be better, and then it can be used, and unnecessary sacrifices can be avoided. The gentleman said that if a cream from Mrs. Patricia appeared, then no one would use Philomela's creation. But then they thought about the fact that Mrs. Patricia has a lot to do now. Patricia noted that she couldn't just sit there while others were suffering from this cream. The lady did not understand at all what to do next because she had too many problems. She gets incredibly tired from using her power. No matter how you look at it, it will take too much magic. Due to frequent attacks from monsters, the knights began to receive more injuries, because of which she is forced to constantly treat them. So Philomela also left. That way she could take some of the work off her hands. She needs to rest. And all this because of Philomela. The profession has always been a special child. Everyone loved her and no one could resist her charm. So after her parents died, she was adopted by the Filon family. Then she thought that she was very lucky. This was the best outcome for the special one. Then she did not yet know what awaited her. She had to make her own way. Still a new place. But she was embarrassed by having another daughter, she thought so. After all, she was born into such a wonderful family. But Patricia thought she was cuter than that girl. From that moment, Patricia bought a new dress and wanted to show it to her sister, but she didn't know where she was. Then she met Prince Andrew. She thought this man was for her, but he turned out to be his sister's fiancé. He must marry a saint. Patricia decided that in this case, she just needed to become a saint. She studied well and read a lot. She very often complained about her sister and said that she was hurting her and all that, and then watched as her sister was scolded. Mental state affects the power of the saint. It was written in the corner of an old book. One day she met Mr. Andrew and he asked her if she wanted to become a saint. Then Patricia was very surprised. She always wanted to gain power and strength, which is why she became a saint. Patricia was delighted because her wish came true. Everything is as it should be. Philomela is just an obstacle in her path. She is a fake who imitates a saint. There is nothing in which Patricia could concede to her. She was sure that it was just a cream, and perhaps it wouldn't be that good, but her reputation would do everything for her. Because the real saint is Patricia. She needs more power and strength. She is the only saint here. Even Andrew went over to her. He thought she would make a good saint. Patricia decided that this meant Andrew had chosen her, therefore I was very pleased. Patricia still managed to create her cream so they could no longer distribute their cream openly in Hylidos. Philomela apologized to Celestina because she worked so hard to create it because of the attitude of people towards Philomela. She is now in big trouble. Celestina said that everything was wrong, and he became very popular in other countries. Philomela couldn't say that she was surprised by this situation. She just couldn't believe that she had made the same cream. She expected nothing less than a saint. Patricia tried to lure Celestina, but she refused to cooperate. Patricia said she would be sad if her little sister thought she was bothering her. Therefore, she would like to enlist Celestine's support. Patricia has no business skills, so the creams are not produced only in Hylidos. However, her cream sells better. After all, everyone wants to receive the creation of the saint herself. Celestina said that they still had intermediaries in Hylidos. This made Philomela herself happy. Ninina said that the lady's cream was simply amazing. Philomela noticed that it was impossible to say that this was her cream. Celestina said that Ninina was right. People returned their cream only because of Patricia's influence, although they themselves clearly did not want to do this, because they returned him with such dissatisfied faces. Many girls came up to Patricia and said that they really liked her cream. Patricia was glad to hear this. Still, Mrs. Patricia is so good, she is the best saint there ever was. Patricia said that she did nothing of the kind, and these compliments embarrassed her. after which she said goodbye to him and left. She was very angry because everyone was annoying her. It's because of Philomela and Celestine that she has to waste her energy on such crap. Also for free, Patricia is so tired of all this, and lately the borders have been swarming with monsters. Because of this, Patricia is called upon more and more often, but after using the Force, she becomes very tired. At first, the position of saint amused her, but not now when she has to constantly work. Patricia was happy when Philomela was there. At least she stood out against her background. It was funny for her to humiliate this girl. Andrew came into the room and noticed that it looked like someone had angered her again. Patricia immediately ran into Mr. Andrew's arms. He informed her that it had been decided that a formal ceremony would be held where she would be declared a saint. Andrew said that now he will officially introduce her, although this should have been done a long time ago. Philomela was previously considered for the role, but she is no longer here, so now Patricia must officially take her place. A universally recognized saint. If Patricia remains a saint officially, then Andre will marry her. Andrew suggested inviting Philomela and the Elair royal family to the ceremony. They received an invitation to the kingdom of Hiatus for a ceremony in honor of Patricia. Before the event, there will be a dinner party to which they were invited, along with Prince Jillian. Philomela said they couldn't officially refuse. The prince apologized to her. Philomela said he shouldn't apologize. Come to think of it, she's Patricia's sister, so it makes sense that they were invited. Philomela is not officially a saint. She really wouldn't want to go there. It's a shame it's not that simple. In the novel, Philomela was not really developed, so Patricia remained a saint. But in theory, Philomela was supposed to attend the ceremony, but she is not sure. When Patricia revealed her powers, Philomela began to worry about her engagement to Andrew, so she decided to just get rid of Patricia. If everything worked out, she would take her place. Everything will return to normal, so Philomela thought, of course it was a stupid act, but then she could no longer think sensibly. Philomela broke the taboo and summoned a monster to kill Patricia. However, she did not have enough strength, so the plan failed. The ceremony had already started and she couldn't do anything. Then she gathered her remaining strength and created a weak monster. Causing a commotion at the ceremony, Patricia stopped the monster with magic and Philomela was discovered and convicted. Patricia was so sad to realize that her sister attacked her. She hoped they could become friends, but I didn't think that she hated her so much. Until that moment, Andrew turned a blind eye to her, but now she will be punished. In the novel, Philomela was stupid. Although it seemed to her that she was driven into a corner, she managed to escape from there. Now the events are different from the original story. However, Philomela is not going to stop them. Philomela really wanted everything to resolve itself. It's so depressing. After her last meeting with Andrew, Philomela never thought that he would call them. Even after returning to Elair, she did not hear any news. Rex noticed that Philomela was so poor. The lady said that it was nothing, she was just worried. After that, she realized that Prince Rex was lying on her lap. Rex asked in horror who dared to make his mistress worry. He will not forgive Hiatus. Suddenly, Jillian appeared there and took his brother from there. He said that he understood Philomela's feelings. But given her relationship with Hiatus, it would be strange to agree to the proposal. Philomela agreed with him. Prince Jillian said that he would protect her. The lady was delighted that the prince would protect her. Philomela was happy because next to him she was in no danger. Now she is not alone. Therefore, I am sure that nothing will happen if she just comes there. She was even sure that everything would be fine. Philomela was sure that Prince Jillian could definitely be relied upon. He promised to protect her under any circumstances. Celestina was grateful to the prince for the invitation. She also brought a famous designer with her. The woman was delighted when she saw Mrs. Philomela. She said that the lady had such an unusual appearance. Prince Jillian agreed with the designer. He noticed that since they decided to go, she needed new dresses so that everyone could see her beauty. Jillian said that she was very beautiful even without all these outfits. Philomela is grateful for these feelings. Well, she wouldn't really want to show off because she has a sister Patricia who will be very angry. Besides, she can't even imagine how much money Prince Jillian spent on this. Whether in her past life or in Hiatus, Philomela could not afford this. Clyde noticed that Jillian was very worried. Philomela asked Prince Clyde to calm down his younger brother, but the gentleman sinfully did not understand why this was. And then there's Celestine, so he thinks he has everything under control. Philomela added that this was not the problem. Clyde didn't understand at all why she was hesitating. She obviously won't be greeted very cordially there. Therefore, Jillian wants to avoid this by all means. It's hard to refuse when they say that. This is true. He does this for Philomela. Clyde wondered what would happen next. Philomela tried to calm him down, but the prince said that he was really interested. He was surprised that his brother was so worried. Clyde thought it was because Philomela was going to her home kingdom. The lady was sure that he knew something for sure. Jillian is desperate to protect her. His brother is always working, so he is glad that he shows his feelings with her. Philomela didn't quite understand in what sense he meant this. Clyde noticed that his brother wasn't so nice before. No matter who stood in front of him, he treated everyone equally coldly. Philomela asked if they were talking about the prince right now, although Celestina said the same thing about the fact that he was cold to everyone. She looked towards Prince Jillian, and when he noticed her, he smiled sweetly. She couldn't imagine Jillian being a cold person. Mr. Andrew came to Patricia and asked if she had found a good thing. The girl was very glad to see the gentleman. She immediately showed her dress and asked him what he thought about it. The prince said that this was an excellent option. Patricia told the prince that any choice he made would be wonderful. Andrew said that it was not his fault that everything suited her. Patricia was very grateful to the prince and happily tried on her new dress. She decided that now she would show everyone the difference between her and her sister. The knight was in pain. Another knight approached him and asked what was wrong with him. He replied that the monster had hurt him. He wondered what this was connected with because no one had ever seen so many monsters. That guy looks terrible, Early. Mistress Patricia came a couple of days ago, so he thought that she had cured his comrade. The wounded man said that his interlocutor simply did not participate in the last battle, so he did not hear. Now Patricia only treats life-threatening wounds. The same ones are ignored. The Prime Minister informed about this. They rely too much on Mistress Patricia, so they don't consciously avoid getting hurt. Of course, he also gets injured due to his reckless actions. Therefore, it's time for them to take their training seriously. That's right, it's not that easy anymore. It seems that Mistress Patricia is very busy right now, and he thinks that when everything is resolved, she will treat them again. The knight remembered that the ceremony was coming soon, and since she was recognized as a saint, it meant that the engagement to Prince Andrew was not far off. The false saint will also come to the ceremony. Not only the title of saint, but also marriage. Now it does not belong to her. It was interesting what it's like now. Philomela was very happy at this time because she was eating very tasty food. Celestina noted that she seemed to like the food. Philomela confirmed this and said that it was very tasty. She can't believe she lives like this now. In Hylidos, she could only dream of such things in her dreams, and in my previous life, the situation was no better. She didn't want to be erased from the story, so she fought for her life. It's good that she came here. Delicious food, good people. Here, she feels useful. Celestina was glad that she liked everything. Celestina was worried that she would not feel well. Philomela realized that she was talking about the ceremony. Of course, she had no choice but to accept the invitation. Although these events affected her psyche, during his walk with Jillian, Prince Andrew organized a real hunt for her. That time, she helped many people, which is why rumors began to spread about her. They probably didn't like it. But now the hype has subsided, so everything will be fine. Plus, Prince Jillian will be with her. Ninina told the lady not to worry because she would be next to her. Yoshina told Ninina that she was too clumsy to help her mistress. Ninina was angry and told her not to express herself like that. Celestina noticed that she was also invited so she can rely on her. Philomela was very grateful to all her friends for such support. She'll just stand by and hope everything goes smoothly. After the ceremony, Andrew and Patricia are officially engaged and will finally forget about her. Patricia noted that it looked like the ceremony would be fun. Even the second prince and Philomela will come, although she doesn't care about him. The lady needs to dress appropriately to demonstrate her relationship with Andrew. Patricia would like to see her desperate expression as soon as possible. Mrs. Patricia was absolutely wonderful. The time for the ceremony is approaching. Patricia has set her sister up countless times. The ladies congratulated Patricia and said that the ceremony would be exciting. But Patricia never got enough of her sister's offended look. At first, it was for Andrew's sake, but then she just wanted to tease her. It brought her such pleasure. Patricia simply could not stop. Then she realized that she and Philomela were like light and shadow. The more Patricia shines, the greater Philomela's darkness. And vice versa, the more darkness there is in Philomel, the more Patricia shines. Therefore, this ceremony is important for Patricia to shine. And in order to shine, she needs to make her sister unhappy. Andrew noted that Patricia seemed to be in a good mood. There had been a lot of work lately, so he was worried. Because of this, she was constantly irritated. Andrew asked the lady how preparations for the ceremony were going. Patricia was grateful for his concern and reported that there were no problems. Mr. Andrew hired the best designers for Patricia, who prepared the most beautiful outfit and jewelry. However, the dress Philomella's family gave her looks old-fashioned, but it has already been chosen for the ceremony. This is all because Philomela was supposed to be her too easy to accept such a fate. Mr. Andrew understands Patricia well, and she hopes he liked it. Andrew was glad she liked it. The prince thought that it would suit her right. The things he chose suit Patricia. But not for a real Saint. Andrew is very lucky that Patricia is such a simpleton. The lady was wondering why little sister Philomela refused to stay at the royal palace. Patricia was even sorry that she would not stop here. She told the prince with a sad face that she wanted to talk to her. Philomela couldn't believe that she was coming back here again. Jillian asked if his fiancé was okay. Philomela said that everything was fine because she was next to Mr. Jillian. She doesn't think anything terrible will happen since this is an official invitation after all. But this all reminds the lady of Andrew. Philomela was already beginning to think that something was wrong with her because she had such strange thoughts. Then she was hidden, so she could not travel around like that officially. This could even become an interstate problem. However, they wanted them to stay in the royal castle. Therefore, Philomela is not sure that everything will be okay. Instead, they stayed at an inn at the royal castle. She hopes that this will not be a problem for Jillian, although everything is well equipped there. But this place is clearly inferior to the luxury of the royal castle. Jillian said he had no intention of staying there in the first place. Even if he was alone, he thought it was obvious, no matter how warmly he is received. Jillian understands that Philomela suffered a lot in this place, so he will not be able to relax there. Philomela was very embarrassed. The prince added that together, where they were staying, she met Celestine. Philomela was glad that Jillian began to trust Celestine. She is happy, but she is still worried. Now she is not hiding, so she is afraid that people might recognize her. It is likely that knights also participate in the selection process. She doesn't think what I did to him before the people of Hylitus look at him, and yet she does not want these good people to despise him. The maid and the knight thought the master and madam were so nice. The butler greeted them. The prince asked them to take care of the luggage. The man immediately began to carry out the order. Upscale hotels in the royal capital are visited exclusively by noble people, high-ranking officials, politicians, representatives of the arts. Everyone here knows about each other's background. It is not surprising that they also know the false saint by sight. However, she is in such a good mood that she somehow doesn't even care. Mistress Celestina must have taken care of their visit, even though Mistress Celestina notified them about them. Celestina said that not only the ruling family, but also a special guest would visit them from a neighboring country, so they should give them a worthy welcome. He is surprised that the special guest is Mrs. Philomela. The man believed that the lady should have warned about her appearance from the very beginning. All he knows about the lady is her sad reputation as a false saint. It seems she oppressed Madame Patricia, the one I should have become a saint. He also heard many stories about her disgusting behavior and boorish attitude towards the servants, and he hopes she won't cause any problems. However, if this happens, she will bother the staff or hotel guests. Despite her accompaniment, he would have to do something about it. Philomela thanked him for his service. The man was always ready for her services. After that, he thought that it could only be empty gossip. And then Philomela realized that she was placed in the same room with His Highness. They immediately became embarrassed. Ninina told the lady that if she needed anything, she should not be shy and call her. Princip noted that she and I had not shared the same bed for a long time. Philomela was very surprised and wondered if this had even happened. Jillian said he was talking about the time she first arrived. The prince noticed that she surprised him very much then. After all, she so unceremoniously broke into the man's chambers. Philomela asked His Highness to stop saying such heresy because that time she confused him with a cat. Jillian added that in addition to sharing the same bed, they also took a bath together. Philomela was so angry that she accidentally stepped on the master's foot and began to fall, but he grabbed her in time. His eyelashes are so luxurious and his eyes are like two bright rubies. It was all leading up to the kiss. Their faces were getting closer and closer. Philomela's cheeks were getting hotter and hotter, and she was afraid. Well, someone immediately called her it was Ninina. She asked if her mistress was hungry. They were very scared. Philomela immediately jumped to the side and announced that she was hungry. In this case, the prince suggested having lunch somewhere in the city. Philomela agreed to this. Nanina was ready to do everything as they wished and was waiting for them at the exit. It was unexpected. Still, Philomela is a little disappointed that they were interrupted like that. Jillian said that he had actually already consulted with Madame Celestina regarding popular restaurants and cafes. And Philomela said that she would like to go for walks more often. The prince is sure that the food in this hotel is not bad at all, but if they have time, then why not? Jillian wondered what his fiancé thought about this. His Highness thought through everything down to the smallest detail in order to please her. Therefore, Philomela happily agreed to this. The prince was very happy, and they held hands and walked. Jillian noticed that Hylitos' cuisine was quite sophisticated. Philomela added that the desserts there are absolutely delicious. After lunch, they decided to head back to the hotel. Jillian left the lady on the bench and asked if she could wait here for a while. Philomela didn't mind people passed near her and looked at her strangely. Philomela immediately recognized that this was Patricia's friend. She decided that it was better to just ignore her because anyway, the conversation would not end well. But the girl herself began to speak and said that the madam must have come to them for the inauguration of Mrs. Patricia. They thought she was so ridiculous and didn't understand how she had the courage to come here. Although what to expect from a fake saint, she was always too arrogant, or she was even expelled from the damned country. Philomela was horrified because the inhabitants of the damned country were standing behind her. Philomela decided that she had to calm them down because it was impossible to make a scene in a crowded place. The lady already thought that they would threaten her with a sword or start a verbal altercation, but they behaved surprisingly calmly. People didn't understand at all why they were looking at her like that. The knight said it was just like that. They later heard how kind the Holy Virgin of the Kingdom of Hylitos was to the children. But since she has such friends, apparently these were just empty rumors. The lady immediately became angry. She began to shout that there was no one more benevolent and gentle than Mrs. Patricia. Nanina noticed that she allowed herself to speak so dirtily about Mrs. Philomela in front of everyone. This shows the true attitude of her dear saint towards guests from neighboring countries. The mistress shouted that Patricia was too kind to express such things. She simply took on this burden. The knight said that if this was so, then the holy maiden Haliatosa was not very selective in who she considered as her friends. Nanina said with a grin that this means that she is not merciful to everyone around her. It is so convenient. This is simply incredible. Even Nanina is capable of conducting a conversation so gracefully. The lady asked if they served this fake. She said that at least the lady managed to seduce the second prince of the cursed country. But she cannot keep track of her own servants. She is sure that even her fiancé simply cannot stand her. Prince Jillian approached them and asked what kind of strange cries he was hearing. Apparently, it is common for the residents of Hylitos to spread idle rumors. Philomela was very happy to see him. Patricia's friend was alarmed when she saw that the man was the second prince. The cursed country principal is also cursed. They were convinced that the prince had an extraordinary appearance since he decided to marry a fake. Jillian said that he really values Philomela and their relationship with her. He asked if she thought it was not very respectful of her to spin dirty rumors about the royal family of a neighboring country. The woman was very scared and began to ask for forgiveness. She did not understand anything because she believed that Philomela should be hated. Her boyfriend screamed that he was with her and said that he did not know how terrible a woman she was. She tried to stop him, and she ran after him. Jillian was in complete freeway and began to apologize to Philomela. She was under the protection of the guys, but he shouldn't have left her alone. Philomela was grateful to him for protecting her, and he just said he values their relationship, after which the principal thanked the maid and the knight. Nanina said that they had nothing to thank for. The knight already thought of cutting her into pieces, but she was so stupid that she only caused disgust. And yet Philomela is very happy and grateful to them for restraining their impulse. By the way, she decided to ask His Highness where he went. Jillian was embarrassed. After which, he took out a box. Philomela asked if this was the same cake from the restaurant. Jillian said that she was choosing between them and another dessert. Although he didn't choose it, he thought they could eat it later at the hotel. Philomela was very happy because he bought it in order to please her. Jillian decided to ask where they would go next and promised that he would not leave her alone again. Philomela was afraid to return here because of the general censure from the inhabitants of Hylitos. Well, now, it doesn't matter. After all, the opinions of people important to her differ from the opinions of those around her, and this is the most important thing. He also reported that Philomela was staying at one of the capital's hotels with the second prince of Elair. The knight said that so far she has not created a single problem. The prince was grateful for the report and ordered her to continue to be monitored. The knights talked among themselves, and one asked the second what His Highness said to the report. He said that it was nothing special, although he can understand why he is so concerned about the appearance of Lady Philomela. Because of her, Mrs. Patricia suffered. Now the other knight also understood that His Highness wanted to keep an eye on her so that Lady Patricia would not be harmed, but that was just a guess. Even when he reported what had happened, His Highness listened to the entire report with such a serious face. Unfortunately, Ms. Philomela is Ms. Patricia's older sister, so it is not surprising that she was invited to the inauguration. However, because of the mistress's appearance, he began to wonder if they executed her or put her in prison, there wouldn't be many things to worry about. Another knight noticed that he was changing his stick here. If Mrs. Patricia heard this, she would probably be upset. Prince Andrew heard all this and noticed that this was a rather barbaric method, but it's very good. Clyde thought it was because Philomela was going to her home kingdom. The lady was sure that he knew something for sure. Jillian is desperate to protect her. His brother is always working, so he is glad that he shows his feelings with her. Philomela didn't quite understand in what sense he meant this. Clyde noticed that his brother wasn't so nice before. No matter who stood in front of him, he treated everyone equally coldly. Philomela asked if they were talking about the prince right now. Although Celestina said the same thing about the fact that he was cold to everyone, she looked towards Prince Jillian, and when he noticed her, he smiled sweetly. She couldn't imagine Jillian being a cold person. Mr. Andrew came to Patricia and asked if she had found a good thing. The girl was very glad to see the gentleman. She immediately showed her dress and asked him what he thought about it. The prince said that this was an excellent option. Patricia told the prince that any choice he made would be wonderful. Andrew said that it was not his fault that everything suited her. Patricia was very grateful to the prince and happily tried on her new dress. She decided that now she would show everyone the difference between her and her sister. The knight was in pain. Another knight approached him and asked what was wrong with him. He replied that the monster had hurt him. He wondered what this was connected with because no one had ever seen so many monsters. That guy looks terrible, Early. Mistress Patricia came a couple of days ago, so he thought that she had cured his comrade. The wounded man said that his interlocutor simply did not participate in the last battle, so he did not hear. Now Patricia only treats life-threatening wounds. The same ones are ignored. The Prime Minister informed about this. They rely too much on Mistress Patricia, so they don't consciously avoid getting hurt. Of course, he also gets injured due to his reckless actions. Therefore, it's time for them to take their training seriously. That's right, it's not that easy anymore. It seems that Mistress Patricia is very busy right now, and he thinks that when everything is resolved, she will treat them again. The knight remembered that the ceremony was coming soon, and since she was recognized as a saint, it meant that the engagement to Prince Andrew was not far off. The false saint will also come to the ceremony. Not only the title of saint, but also marriage. Now it does not belong to her. It was interesting what it's like now. Philomela was very happy at this time because she was eating very tasty food. Celestina noted that she seemed to like the food. Philomela confirmed this and said that it was very tasty. She can't believe she lives like this now. In Hylidos, she could only dream of such things in her dreams, and in my previous life, the situation was no better. She didn't want to be erased from the story, so she fought for her life. It's good that she came here. Delicious food, good people. Here, she feels useful. Celestina was glad that she liked everything. Celestina was worried that she would not feel well. Philomela realized that she was talking about the ceremony. Of course, she had no choice but to accept the invitation. Although these events affected her psyche, during his walk with Jillian, Prince Andrew organized a real hunt for her. That time, she helped many people, which is why rumors began to spread about her. They probably didn't like it. But now the hype has subsided, so everything will be fine. Plus, Prince Jillian will be with her. Ninina told the lady not to worry because she would be next to her. Yoshina told Ninina that she was too clumsy to help her mistress. Ninina was angry and told her not to express herself like that. Celestina noticed that she was also invited so she can rely on her. Philomela was very grateful to all her friends for such support. She'll just stand by and hope everything goes smoothly. After the ceremony, Andrew and Patricia are officially engaged and will finally forget about her. Patricia noted that it looked like the ceremony would be fun. Even the second prince and Philomela will come, although she doesn't care about him. The lady needs to dress appropriately to demonstrate her relationship with Andrew. Patricia would like to see her desperate expression as soon as possible. Mrs. Patricia was absolutely wonderful. The time for the ceremony is approaching. Patricia has set her sister up countless times. The ladies congratulated Patricia and said that the ceremony would be exciting. But Patricia never got enough of her sister's offended look. At first, it was for Andrew's sake, but then she just wanted to tease her. It brought her such pleasure. Patricia simply could not stop. Then she realized that she and Philomela were like light and shadow. The more Patricia shines, the greater Philomela's darkness. And vice versa, the more darkness there is in Philomel, the more Patricia shines. Therefore, this ceremony is important for Patricia to shine. And in order to shine, she needs to make her sister unhappy. Andrew noted that Patricia seemed to be in a good mood. There had been a lot of work lately, so he was worried. Because of this, she was constantly irritated. Andrew asked the lady how preparations for the ceremony were going. Patricia was grateful for his concern and reported that there were no problems. Mr. Andrew hired the best designers for Patricia, who prepared the most beautiful outfit and jewelry. However, the dress Philomela's family gave her looks old-fashioned, but it has already been chosen for the ceremony. This is all because Philomela was supposed to be her too easy to accept such a fate. Mr. Andrew understands Patricia well, and she hopes he liked it. Andrew was glad she liked it. The prince thought that it would suit her right. The things he chose suit Patricia. But not for a real Saint. Andrew is very lucky that Patricia is such a simpleton. The lady was wondering why little sister Philomela refused to stay at the royal palace. Patricia was even sorry that she would not stop here. She told the prince with a sad face that she wanted to talk to her. Philomela couldn't believe that she was coming back here again. Jillian asked if his fiancé was okay. Philomela said that everything was fine because she was next to Mr. Jillian. She doesn't think anything terrible will happen since this is an official invitation after all. But this all reminds the lady of Andrew. Philomela was already beginning to think that something was wrong with her because she had such strange thoughts. Then she was hidden, so she could not travel around like that officially. This could even become an interstate problem. However, they wanted them to stay in the royal castle. Therefore, Philomela is not sure that everything will be okay. Instead, they stayed at an inn at the royal castle. She hopes that this will not be a problem for Jillian, although everything is well equipped there. But this place is clearly inferior to the luxury of the royal castle. Jillian said he had no intention of staying there in the first place. Even if he was alone, he thought it was obvious, no matter how warmly he is received. Jillian understands that Philomela suffered a lot in this place, so he will not be able to relax there. Philomela was very embarrassed. The prince added that together, where they were staying, she met Celestine. Philomela was glad that Jillian began to trust Celestine. She is happy, but she is still worried. Now she is not hiding, so she is afraid that people might recognize her. It is likely that knights also participate in the selection process. She doesn't think what I did to him before the people of Hylitus look at him, and yet she does not want these good people to despise him. The maid and the knight thought the master and madam were so nice. The butler greeted them. The prince asked them to take care of the luggage. The man immediately began to carry out the order. Upscale hotels in the royal capital are visited exclusively by noble people, high-ranking officials, politicians, representatives of the arts. Everyone here knows about each other's background. It is not surprising that they also know the false saint by sight. However, she is in such a good mood that she somehow doesn't even care. Mistress Celestina must have taken care of their visit, even though Mistress Celestina notified them about them. Celestina said that not only the ruling family, but also a special guest would visit them from a neighboring country, so they should give them a worthy welcome. He is surprised that the special guest is Mrs. Philomela. The man believed that the lady should have warned about her appearance from the very beginning. All he knows about the lady is her sad reputation as a false saint. It seems she oppressed Madame Patricia, the one I should have become a saint. He also heard many stories about her disgusting behavior and boorish attitude towards the servants, and he hopes she won't cause any problems. However, if this happens, she will bother the staff or hotel guests. Despite her accompaniment, he would have to do something about it. Philomela thanked him for his service. The man was always ready for her services. After that, he thought that it could only be empty gossip. And then Philomela realized that she was placed in the same room with His Highness. They immediately became embarrassed. Ninina told the lady that if she needed anything, she should not be shy and call her. Princip noted that she and I had not shared the same bed for a long time. Philomela was very surprised and wondered if this had even happened. Jillian said he was talking about the time she first arrived. The prince noticed that she surprised him very much then. After all, she so unceremoniously broke into the man's chambers. Philomela asked His Highness to stop saying such heresy because that time she confused him with a cat. Jillian added that, in addition to sharing the same bed, they also took a bath together. Philomela was so angry that she accidentally stepped on the master's foot and began to fall, but he grabbed her in time. His eyelashes are so luxurious and his eyes are like two bright rubies. It was all leading up to the kiss. Their faces were getting closer and closer. Philomela's cheeks were getting hotter and hotter, and she was afraid. Well, someone immediately called her it was Ninina. She asked if her mistress was hungry. They were very scared. Philomela immediately jumped to the side and announced that she was hungry. In this case, the prince suggested having lunch somewhere in the city. Philomela agreed to this. Ninina was ready to do everything as they wished and was waiting for them at the exit. It was unexpected. Still, Philomela is a little disappointed that they were interrupted like that. Jillian said that he had actually already consulted with Madame Celestina regarding popular restaurants and cafes. And Philomela said that she would like to go for walks more often. The prince is sure that the food in this hotel is not bad at all, but if they have time, then why not? Jillian wondered what his fiancé thought about this. His Highness thought through everything down to the smallest detail in order to please her. Therefore, Philomela happily agreed to this. The prince was very happy, and they held hands and walked. Jillian noticed that Hylitos' cuisine was quite sophisticated. Philomela added that the desserts there are absolutely delicious. After lunch, they decided to head back to the hotel. Jillian left the lady on the bench and asked if she could wait here for a while. Philomela didn't mind people passed near her and looked at her strangely. Philomela immediately recognized that this was Patricia's friend. She decided that it was better to just ignore her because anyway, the conversation would not end well. But the girl herself began to speak and said that the madam must have come to them for the inauguration of Mrs. Patricia. They thought she was so ridiculous and didn't understand how she had the courage to come here. Although what to expect from a fake saint, she was always too arrogant. Or she was even expelled from the damned country. Philomela was horrified because the inhabitants of the damned country were standing behind her. Philomela decided that she had to calm them down because it was impossible to make a scene in a crowded place. The lady already thought that they would threaten her with a sword or start a verbal altercation, but they behaved surprisingly calmly. People didn't understand at all why they were looking at her like that. The knight said it was just like that. They later heard how kind the Holy Virgin of the Kingdom of Hylitos was to the children. But since she has such friends, apparently these were just empty rumors. The lady immediately became angry. She began to shout that there was no one more benevolent and gentle than Mrs. Patricia. Ninina noticed that she allowed herself to speak so dirtily about Mrs. Philomela in front of everyone. This shows the true attitude of her dear saint towards guests from neighboring countries. The mistress shouted that Patricia was too kind to express such things. She simply took on this burden. The knight said that if this was so, then the holy maiden Haliatosa was not very selective in who she considered as her friends. Ninina said with a grin that this means that she is not merciful to everyone around her. It is so convenient. This is simply incredible. Even Ninina is capable of conducting a conversation so gracefully. The lady asked if they served this fake. She said that at least the lady managed to seduce the second prince of the cursed country. But she cannot keep track of her own servants. She is sure that even her fiancé simply cannot stand her. Prince Jillian approached them and asked what kind of strange cries he was hearing. Apparently, it is common for the residents of Hylitos to spread idle rumors. Philomela was very happy to see him. Patricia's friend was alarmed when she saw that the man was the second prince. The cursed country principal is also cursed. They were convinced that the prince had an extraordinary appearance since he decided to marry a fake. Jillian said that he really values Philomela and their relationship with her. He asked if she thought it was not very respectful of her to spin dirty rumors about the royal family of a neighboring country. The woman was very scared and began to ask for forgiveness. She did not understand anything because she believed that Philomela should be hated. Her boyfriend screamed that he was with her and said that he did not know how terrible a woman she was. She tried to stop him, and she ran after him. Jillian was in complete freeway and began to apologize to Philomela. She was under the protection of the guys, but he shouldn't have left her alone. Philomela was grateful to him for protecting her, and he just said he values their relationship, after which the principal thanked the maid and the knight. Ninina said that they had nothing to thank for. The knight already thought of cutting her into pieces, but she was so stupid that she only caused disgust. And yet Philomela is very happy and grateful to them for restraining their impulse. By the way she decided to ask His Highness where he went, Jillian was embarrassed. After which he took out a box. Philomela asked if this was the same cake from the restaurant. Jillian said that she was choosing between them and another dessert. Although he didn't choose it, he thought they could eat it later at the hotel. Philomela was very happy because he bought it in order to please her. Jillian decided to ask where they would go next and promised that he would not leave her alone again. Philomela was afraid to return here because of the general censure from the inhabitants of Haliaitos. Well, now, it doesn't matter. After all, the opinions of people important to her differ from the opinions of those around her, and this is the most important thing. He also reported that Philomela was staying at one of the capital's hotels with the second prince of Elair. The knight said that so far she has not created a single problem. The prince was grateful for the report and ordered her to continue to be monitored. The knights talked among themselves, and one asked the second what His Highness said to the report. He said that it was nothing special, although he can understand why he is so concerned about the appearance of Lady Philomela. Because of her, Mrs. Patricia suffered. Now the other knight also understood that His Highness wanted to keep an eye on her so that Lady Patricia would not be harmed, but that was just a guess. Even when he reported what had happened, His Highness listened to the entire report with such a serious face. Unfortunately, Ms. Philomela is Ms. Patricia's older sister, so it is not surprising that she was invited to the inauguration. However, because of the mistress's appearance, he began to wonder if they executed her or put her in prison, there wouldn't be many things to worry about. Another knight noticed that he was changing his stick here. If Mrs. Patricia heard this, she would probably be upset. Prince Andrew heard all this and noticed that this was a rather barbaric method, but it's very good. The knights talked among themselves, and one asked the second what His Highness said to the report. He said that it was nothing special, although he can understand why he is so concerned about the appearance of Lady Philomela. Because of her, Mrs. Patricia suffered. Now the other knight also understood that His Highness wanted to keep an eye on her so that Lady Patricia would not be harmed, but that was just a guess. Even when he reported what had happened, His Highness listened to the entire report with such a serious face. Unfortunately, Ms. Philomela is Ms. Patricia's older sister, so it is not surprising that she was invited to the inauguration. However, because of the mistress's appearance, he began to wonder if they executed her or put her in prison, there wouldn't be many things to worry about. Another knight noticed that he was changing his stick here. If Mrs. Patricia heard this, she would probably be upset. Prince Andrew heard all this and noticed that this was a rather barbaric method, but it's very good.